subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Changed when she heard the sound. She left Jiraiya and rushed into the laboratory. And Jiraiya is a little confused. Orochimaru, have a son? Mitsuki, are you alright? When Aunt Snake rushed in, she saw Miwa staring at Orochimaru and greeted him with relief. Mother, is he my father? Seeing Aunt Snake's small face, Miwa struggled for a moment, then asked while rubbing her head. Although Mitsuki is an artificial human, there are still Orochimaru genes in his body. Aunt Snake said before that he could be a father or a mother. So, does it mean that he has a father and mother now? Aunt Snake and Orochimaru's bodies were overwhelmed at the same time, and their heads froze a bit. Jiraiya, Shiraishi, and youth Sasuke who came in also had similar expressions. What kind of weird relationship is this? Ahem, count it. In the end, Aunt Snake looked at Siyue's hopeful eyes and agreed. This made Orochimaru's forehead covered with black lines. Is this what it means to be a father? Haha, I have parents too. Goodbye, father and mother. I'm going to tell Boruto the good news. Miwa yelled in surprise and ran out happily to find her friend Boruto. Let Orochimaru, the father, be completely hammered. Sun and Moon have always wanted to have both parents. If you can play the role, count me as a favor to you. Seeing Orochimaru's embarrassed face, Aunt Snake took the initiative to explain the friendship. Then I need you to hand over Mitsuki's sage mode to him. Then I'll have no problem. Orochimaru glanced at Shiraishi out of the corner of his eye and made a request. He can't now. That power is a combination of mantra and sage mode, which is physically demanding. If the human body is genetically modified, it is possible. However, there are not many sage body genes left to be completely transformed. Aunt Snake looked at Shiraishi, who was eager to try, and poured cold water on him. Sage body gene? Are you talking about that? Orochimaru froze for a moment, stretched out his fingers, and said with several bottles and cans. Aunt Snake saw the change in the eyes of those flesh and blood, and immediately stepped forward to check. Such a large piece of living Hashirama flesh. How did you get it? Aunt Snake stared at the piece of Hashirama's flesh and said in surprise. Hashirama cells have always been something that Aunt Snake has been researching. No stranger to the power of the sun in the flesh and blood of Hashirama. Is this thing very precious? Orochimaru's eyes flashed brightly, and he asked aloud. Certainly. The earliest research on Hashirama cells did not know the preciousness and methods in it, and took many detours to waste materials. After decades of research, the original flesh and blood has already been exhausted. During the Fourth World War, Hashirama cells were only the second-generation product. The Hashirama cells we're using for research now are several generations old. The genes contained in it are naturally very incomplete. And you, still living Hashirama flesh and blood. This thing is only available when separated from a living first-generation body. In the earliest days, the second-generation project used to get some. I initially worked on the roots a little bit and made the Yamato out of that. The others are flesh and blood cells of the first generation after death. The genes and Yongdun power contained in it don't exist. Aunt Snake stared intently at Hashirama's flesh and blood and explained in detail. Dejuzi never imagined that his body would be so precious. Protecting Yuichi Fong during his lifetime and leaving his younger generation behind after his death. It perfectly interprets what is the will of fire. When Shiraishi heard Aunt Snake's answer, he immediately complained. Right, you are, after all, a pastime in space. There's still a lot of material in there. So, do you want to make a deal? Aunt Snake suddenly figured it out, turned her head to look at Orochimaru, and said, Okay, that's what we're here for too. But before that, you need to know our goal. Orochimaru knew what Aunt Snake wanted at a glance, and nodded in agreement. It's still me. You are too slow to explain. Knowing that Orochimaru was going to say something about the alliance, young Sasuke interrupted. Aunt Snake looked at the youth Sasuke, suspiciously. Seeing the young man, Sasuke's eyes turned to the eternal Mangeki. A familiar voice rang in his ears. Tsukuyami. Chapter 89. Ant Snake wants to capture alive Tsutsuki. Immortal Curse Seal Mode. The Alliance across time and space. 3 different worlds. Together against Tsutsuki. I see. After Ant Snake exited Tsukuyami's space, Mulu Jingmong murmured. Orochimaru, we need your help. Improve curse seals. Future scientific research materials and intelligence resources are shared. And study the secrets of Tsutsuki. After seeing that Ant Snake knew everything, Orochimaru said solemnly, I can give you all the help you need. But I have a request. Ant Snake narrowed her pupils and smiled with the corners of her mouth raised. How could he not participate in such an interesting event? Any request? Shiraishi asked next. I want you to cooperate with me in capturing the Tsutsuki people alive. Studying Hashirama cells is just the way to go. Actually, what I want to study most is the Tsutsuki family. When Ant Snake opened her mouth, she couldn't stop talking, making everyone stunned. Jixiks, this is also our goal. When we grow up later, we can meet your requirements. Shiraishi came to his senses first and agreed. This does not conflict with his and Orochimaru's goals. No, I think you misunderstood. I want it now. Since you could travel across time, you can also go to other times. I'm going to capture Tsutsuki Mamashiki and Kim alive. Ant Snake threw another bomb, causing everyone to stand still on the spot. Live peach style Kim's. It was Shiraishi who was shocked by his aunt's courage. This guy's ambition is too big. Yes, that's them. So far, we know very little about the Tsutsuki clan. The 2 of them happen to be the most suitable candidates. You can get information about the Tsutsuki clan through them. I can research the power of Tsutsuki through them. Naruto and Sasuke were able to defeat them last time, so it is not impossible to add us to capture them alive. It can also be used to test the real effect of the seal against the Tsutsuki family. I think this is a perfect temptation. Ant Snake looked at the few people with fiery eyes and bewitched in a clear way. You can try this. We already know the abilities of Taoshi and Jinshi. There shouldn't be much danger. We now know so little about Tsutsuki's intel. The young man Sasuke's eyes flashed, and Taguchi supported him. If you can get a way to remove the wedge from it, Boruto will be saved. Shiraishi, maybe we can try. Orochimaru also shouted when he heard Ant Snake's reason. Shiraishi is also excited at this time. A pair of Mingzwa can kill Mamashiki and Kim. The 2 pairs of Mingzwa plus the Saratobi team and Ant Snake, no matter how you look at it, they are all wins. This is okay, but I'm going to do an experiment. Shiraishi nodded in agreement, and then took out the little turtle. It turned into golden light and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Just when Ant Snake and young Sasuke were wondering, a scratch suddenly appeared on the foot where Shiraishi was standing just now. The next moment, Shiraishi appeared again. This is troublesome. This is the past spacetime linked by spacetime. Therefore, we must be absolutely safe when we go to catch Taoshi and Jinshi. Otherwise, it will affect the real present. Shiraishi looked at the scratches on his feet with an ugly face. He originally thought that the tortoise could pass through the prequel of the wind and the pass of Boruto. Every spacetime in the future is an independent spacetime. Only when the time and space of World War II go back to the past time will there be a situation of mutual influence. It now appears that is not the case. In an independent world, there are only these 3. Time movement in each of these worlds means traveling through time in this world. That said, a lot of things want to change. It can only be done without affecting the future. It doesn't matter whether that person goes to another world or fakes his death. Nothing can affect the future development of that time and space. Shiraishi, do you mean this is the same as Konoha's 7th? Orochimaru came to his senses first and opened his mouth to confirm. That's right. There are only 3 of us in the real independent world. The other time points are the true past of that time and space. I just went back and had this scratch a year ago, and now it's here too. Here is the proof. Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru and the others firmly. So, As long as we keep Boruto from going to war, he won't be planted with a wedge by the peach style. Young Sasuke's eyes suddenly lit up, and he asked Shiraishi excitedly. In this way, a solution to the wedge can be found. That's right, but we can only do it secretly, and we cannot let that world affect the present. So, be sure to do it after the battle. Seal the memories of you and the 7th generation, and of seeing us all at that time. Shiraishi nodded affirmatively, then hesitated a bit. Boruto is the protagonist of Boruto biography. Momoshiki is destined to be his cheat. It's like Naruto with 9 tails. It is destined that Boruto will suppress the peach pose or influence the peach pose, and willingly become the role of teacher or friend. Wouldn't it be a bit of a spoiler to get rid of it directly? But this idea was stifled by Shiraishi in an instant. What does Boruto have to do with losing the cheat? He's not Naruto, why bother? This is no problem. Believe they will voluntarily seal the memory. So start preparing now. Orochimaru, help me transplant my arm. The youth Sasuke didn't notice Shiraishi's expression and turned his head to Aunt Snake. This is okay. Jiraiya, go find 3rd generation Tsunade. I want to plant a curse mark for them and participate in the next battle. Aunt Snake's request was met, and she arranged with a smile. Plant a spell on them? Didn't you say that the strength of Miyue needs the support of Sage Body? Do you have any other improvement seals? Orochimaru's face changed slightly upon hearing this, and asked in surprise. Of course it is. The kind of Miyue is currently the most perfect curse seal Sage mode. Therefore, the physical requirements are extremely high. However, there are other versions in the process of research improvement. With 3rd generation's physique, Tsunade's Senju physique, there should be no problem adapting to the Immortal Curse seal. This is the 2nd upgraded version of the Seal of Heaven's Curse. The promotion of the same mantra is different for everyone. How much strength to improve depends on their potential, but experimenting is enough. Aunt Snake is very natural at Versailles. The Immortal Curse seal? How much worse is this than Miyue's power? Shiraishi next to him heard this and asked in a hurry. If it is not too bad, Shiraishi is also acceptable. Pursue Shiraishi, who is steady, as long as he is stable. Mainly, Shiraishi didn't want to do any body modification. Become a human reformed existence like Miyue. His ultimate goal is to steal the power of Tsutsuki and gain natural power evolution. You can't put the cart before the horse and pursue some kind of body modification. Apart from my swaps, Shiraishi does not undergo any body modifications. Otherwise, Orochimaru's software modification would have been useless. I said it before, the power of the curse seal is not the same for everyone. It's based on potential. Even the immortal curse seal could defeat Miyue's Sage mode. It depends on your own potential and strength. The power of Immortal Curse Seal is not weaker than ordinary Sage mode. That's why I named it with the Chinese character Xian. Aunt Snake explained again, making Shiraishi's heart feel hot again. Not weaker than normal Sage mode. This is already heaven-defying okay. Shiraishi also understood Orochimaru's interpretation of the Curse Seal. Blast Wind, Kimimaro of the Seal of the Earth's Curse. The strength is not at the same level as the Odinin 4, who also have the Curse Seal of the Earth. Last question. Is it safe? Asking for flowers? Shiraishi looked at Aunt Snake and asked nervously. It's 100% safe if it's you. Aunt Snake looked at Shiraishi playfully and said, Why? Shiraishi was stunned for a moment and asked puzzledly while holding back the joy in his heart. Could it be that he also has the fate of a protagonist? Because your Curse Seal is the original Curse Seal. Therefore, the Immortal Curse Seal is just an upgrade for you. What's the risk? Aunt Snake pressed Shiraishi's neck with one hand, felt it, and said calmly, Master, Orochimaru-sensei, I'd better accept this. I can't afford the kind of Mitsuki. Shiraishi didn't hesitate when he heard this, and immediately shouted, Power never ends. Sage mode is just excessive. After becoming Tsutsuki, it's all floating clouds. Decided, Aunt Snake looked at Shiraishi, then at Orochimaru, and said, Since it's his choice, then this is it. Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi, dumbfounded, and laughed. He knows how much Shiraishi hates his life. Still, because he is, he also counts on Shiraishi to take him out of the second dimension in the future. The more Shiraishi spared his life, the more relieved Orochimaru was. Then you guys come with me. Ant Snake greeted Shiraishi and young man Sasuke. At the same time, gave Jiraiya a look. Jiraiya understood immediately and went to third generation and Tsunade. Into the laboratory, Ant Snake took out a reagent from a safe and handed it to Orochimaru. I don't need to tell you this. You also know how to draw. I'm going to help Sasuke with an arm transplant, and I'll leave it to you here. Ant Snake ordered and led the young man Sasuke into the operating room next to him. It's really lazy. Orochimaru curled his lips helplessly and put the reagent into his mouth. No way. Now that you're so advanced, why do you still use this trick? Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru, who showed his snake teeth, and shivered. Well, I only know this. Orochimaru grinned ferociously, his eyes set. In the next second, a familiar feeling rose on Shiraishi's neck. This time, though, Shiraishi didn't faint. Instead, the consciousness clearly perceives the so-called natural energy. As Orochimaru's mouth fades away, more and more natural energy gathers within the immortal seal. After a while, Shiraishi's body exploded with azure light fluorescence. Shiraishi's dark eyes also instantly turned azure. The clothes and hair on the body are blown up without wind. Looking majestic eyes, each of them extended a black eyeshadow. On the forehead, two pitch-black snake-like tiny fairy lines intertwine and appear between the eyebrows. It seems that there's a sense of instant vision of Erling God's eyes. Around the body, two azure chakra snakes are circling and swimming in the void. This is the immortal curse seal mode. Shiraishi looked at himself and felt the increase of chakra and physique in his body again. Jingshi said, the original seal of the original source. The opening is only a tenfold increase in chakra. Physical fitness increased slightly. And now Shiraishi feels that chakra is still tenfold. But the quality of chakra has changed. It should be the so-called Xianshu chakra. In terms of physique, Shiraishi feels at least 10 times stronger. Also, Shiraishi's perception has also been buffed. You can perceive things that you could not perceive before. Thinking of Naruto's Sage Mode, Shiraishi's heart skipped a beat. A kunai was pulled out quickly, and Shiraishi clenched his hands tightly and gently broke it off. With a bang, the ordinary kunai directly split into two halves. Shiraishi looked at the unbelievable situation, then at the unscathed hands. Instantly satisfied with this immortal curse seal, it is indeed the existence of a relatively ordinary Sage Mode in Ant Snake's mouth. His eyes inadvertently saw the glass next to him. Shiraishi was overjoyed again when he vaguely saw his own appearance through the reflection. There are no horns on the forehead, and there are not so many fairy lines. This immortal curse seal is a bit handsome, big. Chapter 90 Wholesale Mangeki. Creating melee invincibility. About 2 minutes later, the fairy lines on Shiraishi's face disappeared instantly, and the chakra snake on his body also disappeared at the same time. Shiraishi almost fell to the ground due to numbness and weakness in his limbs. Only so little time? It can't do anything. Shiraishi counted the time silently and shouted with a bitter face. It should be your chakra and poor physical fitness. No matter what form of Sage Mode, there are requirements for these 2 points. In my opinion, you can last about 2 minutes is pretty good. After all, your current chakra is only at the level of Chunin. Physical fitness is probably about the strength of an average Chunin. Orochimaru gave an explanation after a moment of observant thought. Is that so? That's right. Naruto's chakra hang-up is only 5 minutes at a time. I can count on 2 minutes. Kurama, it's up to you to open from now on. Responsible for strengthening my physique and helping me gather natural energy. It's too little to gather natural energy only by the fairy seal. Shiraishi muttered vaguely and gave young Nine Tails a task. The immortal curse seal on his body is comparable to Orochimaru's White Snake or Mount Maiboku's Fukasaku and Shima. It can help host absorb natural energy and then turn on Sage mode in an instant. However, if the absorption cannot keep up with the consumption, the loss ratio will exit Sage mode, with Shiraishi's chakra 663 gradually increasing, and even open Kurama mode. The effect of the immortal curse seal will become smaller and smaller. This is also the reason why Naruto made a big move in the later stage, asking Nine Tails to help absorb natural energy. More than an hour later, Ant Snake came out with Sasuke, a young man who had transplanted Hashirama's arm. At this time, Jiraiya also brought Sarutobi Hiruzen to several people. Orochimaru. Tsunade said she didn't accept the seal. She's already started practicing Sage mode in Wet Bones, and she's almost there. Jiraiya came to Ant Snake, spread her hands in disappointment. He wanted to see what Tsunade looks like now, but he didn't even enter the door, only saw the shadow clone of little Tsunade. Sage mode in Wet Bones? Ajad, I never thought that all three of you would have the inheritance of the three great sacred lands. Ant Snake murmured in surprise, and then looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Ms. Sarutobi, the success rate of the immortal curse seal is determined according to the individual's physique and potential. According to my estimation, you have 90% chance of success. Do you want to try it? Ant Snake stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen playfully and said, 90% sure? What if it fails? Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a solemn expression and firm eyes. Fail? You don't need to tell me this. Ant Snake smiled at the corner of her mouth and said calmly and connotatively. Sarutobi Hiruzen shrank his pupils and fell silent under the gaze of several people. He took a few deep breaths and looked at Orochimaru. Orochimaru, Jiraiya has already told me the significance of this experiment, whether it is for testing or the future of the ninja world. Must try once. If I fail, Orochimaru, you are Konoha's fourth Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen said solemnly. Shiraishi and Orochimaru held their breath at the same time, and a touch flashed in their eyes. No matter what role this controversial third generation plays in the original time and space, at least under the influence of Shiraishi and Orochimaru, third generation is considered a qualified Hokage for now. Things are going to be arranged so soon. Fourth Hokage. What a nostalgic title. Ant Snake stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen with complicated eyes and laughed. I can't help thinking of the teacher-student bond between him and third generation. Once, that old man also valued him that much, and he trusted that stubborn old man that much. Although there were some twists and turns in the middle, he still agreed with the old man in the fourth battle. Orochimaru, do you have a perfect solution? Hearing Ant Snake sigh, Jiraiya hurriedly asked excitedly. No, not at all. Even if it is an upgraded Heaven's Curse seal. Only 98% sure. There is no perfect way. Sarutobi-sensei, have you decided? Ant Snake shattered Jiraiya's fantasy and revealed another piece of information. Heaven's Curse seal already has a 98% success rate. Still an upgraded version. Orochimaru and Shiraishi were overjoyed at the same time. Such a standard has already reached the standard of popularizing Konoha. Is there a problem? In my opinion, not 100% are semi-finished products. No matter what the odds are, even if it's 99.9%, for an individual, there are only two outcomes, life or death. Ant Snake looked at the few people who made a fuss again at the Versailles track. Orochimaru, I've decided. Let's start. Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this and shouted with determination again. Ant Snake didn't say much this time and took out a needle with a simple shape. Immediately pierced the back of Sarutobi Hiruzen's neck after filling the reagent. This one? Shiraishi looked at Orochimaru speechlessly and complained. Why bite him when he can get a needle? Ahem. I'm used to it. Orochimaru lied casually in embarrassment, staring at Sarutobi Hiruzen intently. Shiraishi gave Orochimaru a disdainful look and turned to Sarutobi Hiruzen as well. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who has not planted a mantra, has the opposite form of Shiraishi. Countless black curse seals flowed out from the immortal curse seal, spreading all over third generation's body. Natural energy began to invade third generation's body through the curse seal. In the blink of an eye, Third generation's body shone with scarlet and green lights. After 2 breaths, shouted with third generation, the chakra on my body began to explode. Unlike Shiraishi's chakra color, third generation Senjo chakra is emerald green. There is a small unicorn on the forehead, and there are more fairy masks on the face. The body is just bursting with fairy magic chakra, and there is no chakra snake entanglement. Is this sage mode? Feeling the strength of his body, Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted in surprise compared to before. Fortunately, there was no accident. Jiraiya patted his chest and sighed after seeing the success. Then he looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen enviously, a little jealous. He has practiced Sage mode for many years, and it is not as fast as Orochimaru's one-spell seal. It's really annoying. Not to mention him, even the young Sasuke looks familiar. However, the young Sasuke already has the power of Rinnegan, and the immortal curse seal does not help him much. Ms. Orochimaru, since you said you can provide all our help, then I'm welcome. I need Manjiki Sharingan of Uchiha letter. Well, the cloned Manjiki also needs a pair. Seeing the end of the matter, Shiraishi began to make demands. The Uchiha letter passed by Boruto is not from the Uchiha tribe. He was originally Orochimaru's experimental subject, with a special constitution that would not cause rejection of any organ transplanted. Danzo's Sharingan arm during the Shippuden period is Uchiha Shin's arm. This guy used cloning technology to clone himself in the early stage of Boruto. Wholesale Manjiki Sharingan directly. Now, at Yakushi Kabuto, there are at least a few dozen clones with Manjiki Sharingan. Shiraishi still likes Uchiha Shin's pair of Manjiki. One is a Kimui pupil technique similar to a Beidou's right eye ability. Transfer itself or other surrounding objects back and forth between the real space and the different space. When moving, suck yourself or others into a different space, and then release it to the target location. One is the ability to manipulate objects remotely. Use the left hand to touch and mark the object to be manipulated, and not one quantity, but multiple quantities of weapons or objects. In Shiraishi's view, this ability is the pupil power version of mind power control. Not to mention anything else, there is no problem in playing Yujin flying. Moreover, this ability plus Flying Thunder God Kanai, it is simply extremely cruel. The Flying Thunder God Kanai, who can move by itself, just ask if you are afraid. Invincible in close combat. Manjiki Sharingan of letters. Ant Snake's face changed slightly. She didn't expect Shiraishi to make such a request. In the battle of the last Uchiha letter, we did get a couple of pairs of the Manjiki Sharingan from letters of death and clones. However, not everyone could transplant Manjiki Sharingan. A body that doesn't fit will only have the opposite effect. Youth Sasuke reminded from the side, hoping to stop Shiraishi's thoughts. Manjiki's power, how could they not know? Kakashi and Danzo are good examples. So 7th generation Naruto ordered that Yakushi Kabuto spread the will of fire for some clones. Let them grow up to become Konoha's combat power. Instead of killing the chicken and taking the eggs, grab those Manjiki Sharingan. I know this. So just 2 pairs. I transplanted a pair, and Tsunade transplanted a pair. Our physique can withstand the power of Manjiki. The door confessed. Maybe a few more pairs, but Shiraishi doesn't want to flood the time and space Manjiki of World War II. So, it's just him and Tsunade. This is the deal he promised Tsunade. Tsunade's Senju Sage Body? Senju Physique Transplant Uchiha Sharingan. That's a good idea. But can you? Ant Snake rubbed her chin with interest. He can. His body, maybe 4.5, is not as special as Uchiha letter. But it is also a special physique that can accept other powers. Seeing this, Orochimaru stepped forward to assure him. Concerning Shiraishi's growth, Orochimaru is fully supporting. Yes? Then I'll give you 2 pairs. Ant Snake didn't care about this. She took a deep look at Shiraishi and agreed. Sitting on dozens of pairs of Manjiki Sharingan, it is so arrogant. I want Uchiha to trust that pair of Manjiki. Seeing that Ant Snake agreed, Shiraishi shouted again. Although the abilities are the same, the Manjiki pupil of the main body is much stronger than the clone. But but you have to get the 7th generation to agree. Ant Snake nodded indifferently and confirmed again. He is now focused on the next Sutsuki, and he can't even look at Manjiki Sharingan. Shiraishi smiled when he saw this. Like a little fox stealing a chicken, Rinnegan's ability is strong, but Manjiki's pupil technique is not bad at all. Shiraishi wants to make his own pair of Rinnegans, if he can. In this way, the upgraded Rinnegan has all the pupil skills of the previous Manjiki. Isn't this more fragrant than Rinnegan transplanted from Nagato? As long as his body can accept Manjiki, it is possible to cultivate Rinnegan. Nagato's pair of Rinnegan. Leave it to Orochimaru. Chapter 91 Tsunade transplants Manjiki. Flying Thunder God Realm Hokage Office. Manjiki Sharingan of Transplant Letter. 7th Generation Naruto sat on the office chair, looked at the few people in front of him, and said in surprise, "That's right. Shiraishi, he has that ability. Most importantly, Shiraishi is an important figure in our one-world connection. That Sutsuki noble phantasm, only Shiraishi has the ability to use. To strengthen him is to protect the foundation of our alliance." Orochimaru stood in front of Shiraishi and said the reason that came to his mind on the way. As soon as this remark came out, the faces of 3rd generation, 7th generation Naruto, young Sasuke, and Ant Snake all changed slightly. After being reminded by Orochimaru, they realized the value of Shiraishi. In fact, the youth Sasuke and the chakra of the 7th generation Naruto both contain the power of Tsutsuki. Baby turtles can also absorb supplemental energy. But the young Sasuke always thought that the turtle was not the one he lost. 7th generation Naruto knows nothing about it. It also caused such a misunderstanding. Shiraishi didn't expect Orochimaru to say that either. But this is a good thing for him, so he happily accepts this statement. Is that so? Then I agree. 7th generation Naruto agreed to this plan after thinking about it for a moment. Now let's talk about another thing. Naruto, Boruto has a third solution. The youth Sasuke stepped forward and whispered Ant Snake's plan to capture Tsutsuki, and the changes that changed Boruto's participation in the battle. 7th generation Naruto's eyes became brighter and brighter, and a pair of azure blue pupils became crystal clear in an instant. There's still this way. I agree with this proposal, but to be fully prepared, there can be no surprises. Naruto, the 7th and 21st generation, shouted excitedly. His body couldn't help shaking. Well, we're ready. Only 6 people participated in the battle this time. 3rd generation, 7th generation, Sasuke, me, Jiraiya, Orochimaru. Now we all have the power to fight Tsutsuki. 6 people plus 7th generation, Sasuke at that time. Should be no problem. Shiraishi's mission is to teleport us, not to fight. Ant Snake spoke out the list of participating in the battle, obviously with a well-thought-out plan. No, there were other 4 shadows participating in the battle at that time. Don't need them this time? Wouldn't that change history? 7th generation Naruto questioned the details of the previous battle, then wiped their memory after the fact. My Rinnegan can do. Youth Sasuke said confidently, with the ability of Lugyu Rinnegan, Tailed Beast could be easily controlled, not to mention the 4 Kage-level ninjas. That's all right. I still need to make some preparations and leave in 2 days. Ant Snake nodded in satisfaction. Can. Now explain the abilities of Peach Style and Gold Style. And the battle plan. 7th generation Naruto agrees. Live capture Tsutsuki table meeting begins. Afternoon, Ant Snake Lab Shiraishi is here at the same time as Tsunade. Shiraishi, I feel cheated by you. Tsunade looked at the 7 or 8 pairs of Manjiki Sharingan and pouted dissatisfiedly. Fortunately, she thought Manjiki was such a precious thing before, but she didn't expect that Ant Snake's place is an ordinary thing. Don't say that, Tsunade. It seems that I cheated money and SX. By the way, what are you doing now? I don't see anyone every day. Shiraishi looked at Tsunade's curvy and delicate figure and teased eagerly in his heart. Saw to tune again. Shiraishi, I'm your older sister. Tsunade shrugged softly and gave Shiraishi a big roll of the eyes charmingly. The current Shiraishi is not much different from Tsunade in strength. Tsunade didn't have the fun of bullying Shiraishi before. Tsunade, I haven't seen you so lively for a long time. At this time, Aunt Snake came over, looked at the youthful Tsunade, and sighed. Although the Tsunade of this era is not old, but the youthful attitude has long been lost. Big Orochimaru, I didn't expect you to change so much now. I heard that you have a son. What a surprise. Tsunade looked at the gentle Aunt Snake and couldn't help teasing. Life is so full of unknowns. I never imagined that one day I would see you again. Let's start. Aunt Snake sighed again and said while holding the surgical instruments. On Shiraishi's side is the familiar Orochimaru. Our replacement surgery is just the beginning. Aunt Snake and Orochimaru's human body experience is much better than medical ninjas. That skillful movement is frighteningly fast. In less than 10 minutes, the two were replaced by Manjiki Sharingan. Under the bug-like existence of healing jutsu, the eyes of the two quickly recovered. Shiraishi clearly felt that the body quickly merged with Manjiki, and there was no jerky feeling. This is the insight of the Manjiki Sharingan. What a clear world. Shiraishi opened his eyes and looked around in awe. Next moment, with a thought in Shiraishi's mind, the Manjiki in his eyes turned into 3 Tomo Sharingan. As if a born Sharingan, Shiraishi doesn't know why he can control the Sharingan autonomously. Blinking again, the scarlet eyes turned into black pupils. You can actually control the Sharingan yourself. Shiraishi, I'm a little interested in your body. Seeing the change in Shiraishi's eyes, Aunt Snake exclaimed in surprise. But he just said that Tsutsuki is the power he wants to study. At the same time, there is something wrong with Tsunade. I saw Tsunade's eyes were red, and the chakra on his body was blowing around like a gust of wind. The blue chakra manifests in materialized form and grows in size. The Manjiki pattern of the eyes began to spin rapidly. There's a cyan blue chakra phantom appearing faintly around him. Susanoo, Orochimaru blurted out when he saw the phantom of chakra beside Tsunade. Is it Manjiki that activates the power of the Senju Sage body? Although its style has not been awakened, chakra seems to have doubled more than 10 times. The power of Senju Sage body comes from the flesh, so Tsunade's physical fitness will also soar again. Now, she already possesses the power of a shadow. Aunt Snake looked at Tsunade, who was in an explosive state, and said to herself in surprise. Shiraishi also looked at Tsunade in surprise, somewhat unexpected, and expected the power of Senju and Uchiha can really be combined. Ninja Law Reverse Summoning Technique. Just when everyone thought Tsunade was going to open his own Susanoo, Tsunade suddenly yelled, catching everyone off guard. She went to the wet bone forest. Shiraishi pointed to the disappearing Tsunade and wondered, could it be that one? Jiraiya, watching next to him, is suspicious of Kid. In an instant, several eyes looked at Jiraiya at the same time. I'm not very clear either. Tsunade previously said that her Sage mode almost succeeded. Therefore, I suspect that she who has grown in strength has gone to practice Sage mode. Jiraiya clasped her head and smirked and explained. Orochimaru and Aunt Snake looked at each other. They were all happy. If Tsunade can master Sage mode, then the opponent Jin's Taiju has someone to choose. Knight Shiraishi sat cross-legged on the bed and opened his eyes suddenly. The pitch-black eyes instantly turned into 3 Tomo Sharingan and quickly turned into Manjiki. The left eye Manjiki shuddered, and the flying thunder god Kanai, who was standing still in front of Shiraishi, rose slowly. Under the control of the left eye pupil technique, the flying thunder god Kanai revolves around Shiraishi's body. Shiraishi looked at the flying thunder god Kanai, who was waving his arms, and a smile rose from the corner of his mouth. With a thought, flying thunder god Kanai flew across the sky and broke through the window at high speed. The speed is no less than the shuriken Kanai thrown by Shiraishi. Almost in the blink of an eye, flying thunder god Kanai stopped at a distance of about 50 meters and fell to the ground. With a thought in Shiraishi's mind, the flying thunder god technique was activated. The next moment, Shiraishi's figure suddenly appeared beside flying thunder god Kanai. Shiraishi bent down to pick up flying thunder god Kanai, mixed joy and sorrow. Tested. He transplanted the vision of this pair of Mangeki, no silk problem. The only limitation is that the flying thunder god technique is not proficient. Can't jump and shuttle continuously, and can't throw multiple flying thunder god Kanai. Hitomi power control. This also has limitations. The heavier the object, the more restricted it is. Whether it's speed, distance, or quantity, you need pupil support. This is also the reason Uchiha Shin, why the blade, is used as a weapon. You don't need to think about Yujian flying for the time being, but close invincibility can still be done. Shiraishi can also use blades as weapons, leaving the flying thunder god spell on them. With the weight and thinness of the blade, flying 100 meters is not a problem. Teleport with 523 within 100 meters, that's not a wave to fly. This is equivalent to a death domain. Within 100 meters, life and death are all in my mind. Growing up in the later stage, it is simply terrifying. Shiraishi whispered excitedly. Put away flying thunder god Kanai. Experiment with the pupil surgery of the right eye hollow. I saw Shiraishi's right eye Mangeki condensed, and the space around him twisted for a while. Like Obito's Kimui pupil technique, Shiraishi's body twists and turns, and quickly enters a different dimension. Shiraishi only felt a flash in front of his eyes, and his body appeared in a large closed space. This space is similar to the Kamui space with the king. It's just that the Kamui space is a bit dark, and it should be brighter here. Inside the space, there is nothing left. It should have been transferred out by those clones. It's the equivalent of a carry-on storage space. Unfortunately, it is a shared space. I just don't know if this space will be independent after I go back. Shiraishi looked around. Tisk Tisk commented. The other side, brightly lit laboratory Rasengan. Earth-style earth flow wall. Fire-style great fireball technique. Wind-style great breakthrough. Lightning-style false darkness. Water-style water chaos. With a cry, several ninjutsu flew out of the scientific ninjutsu. This scene. See Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya, Orochimaru are dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, there is no need for seals, and ninjutsu attacks can be issued only with ninja tools. This is a scientific ninja tool we developed. Seal the ninjutsu in the ninjutsu scroll in advance, and launch it directly when using it. How about this? It's a pity that only ordinary ninjutsu can be stored now, and immortal jutsu cannot be stored for the time being. 7th generation Naruto said with a pity when he saw the surprised eyes of several people. Just now, Orochimaru proposed to see the high-tech of Konoha, and 7th generation Naruto brought them here. Perhaps we can prepare some for those little guys when we go back. In this way, they can also enter the battlefield in advance. Grow up fast. After being surprised, Orochimaru looked at the scientific ninja and murmured. Chapter 92. Fight against the Peach-style Golden style. Avoid detours for 10 years' time. After Peach grabs 7th generation Naruto. Location. Hokage office rooftop. A group of purple-black spatial channels slowly formed in front of the broken arm Sasuke. Sarana. Shikadai. I leave everyone to you. Uzumaki Baruto saw that the broken arm Sasuke had entered the space passage and pretended to the people behind him. Just when Uzumaki Baruto was about to enter the space passage, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Sho! As soon as Uzumaki Baruto spoke, he fainted before his eyes. Youth Sasuke, Scarlet, Eternal, Mangeki glanced away, and all those who saw him lost consciousness and passed out on the ground. Next moment, 7th generation, Ant Snake, 3rd generation, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shiraishi passed through the space channel with lightning speed. The whole process takes less than a breath of time. Youth Sasuke stepped on the ground a little bit, turned around, and entered the space passage. The moment the youth Sasuke entered the space passage, 2 figures ran over quickly. Quick, this time is the time to prove the scientific ninja. Tano Yashisuke hurriedly shouted to his subordinates who were carrying the camera, dodging, and was about to rush into the space passage. As soon as his face got into the space channel, he was kicked out. He hit the ground with his subordinates and passed out. This time, I won't let you make trouble. The youth Sasuke glanced at the two people who fainted, and Rinnegan appeared in the left eye. The entrance to the passage is completely closed. Last time, it was because of these two goods that Momoji was given a lot of ninjutsu to absorb chakra. Different space planet, a withered giant god-tier tree stands on the ground, and the whole planet is dead silent. This is the planet after being robbed of energy by the Ten Tails sacred tree. The third generation looked at the lifeless land and whispered in horror. That's why we're going to defeat Sutsuki. Protect the ninja world. Seventh generation Naruto grinned confidently. Unexpectedly, the first time I went to an alien planet was here. Shiraishi looked at the desolation and thin air around him. Has it started yet? The youth Sasuke came behind the crowd, looked at the battle ahead, and said solemnly, "Follow the plan. Separate the two of them first. Don't let the peach style swallow the golden style. Shiraishi, you protect yourself." The action begins. Seventh generation Naruto's eyes were fixed, and he clapped his hands to enter Kurama mode. The white snake around Orochimaru's neck came out and entered Sage mode instantly. Jiraiya clings to her hands, and the long-stored natural energy explodes instantly, entering Sage mode in seconds. Tsunade had been prepared. Akatsuyu crawled out of her clothes and stood on her left shoulder. Willow eyebrows raised up, and a two-character red fairy face appeared on the delicate and pretty face. There is red eyeshadow on both eyes, and Katsu's two tentacles appear on either side of the head's forehead. This is Tsunade's Sage mode. Third generation activates the Immortal Curse Seal and enters the Curse Seal Sage mode again. Only Aunt Snake and young Sasuke are still the same as before. Be careful to avoid physical contact and don't be wedged by them. Shiraishi hurriedly reminded, "Don't capsize in the gutter." Several people nodded and disappeared in front of Shiraishi in an instant. Seeing who was besieging Jinchur, only felt a blur in front of his eyes. The four members of Sage Transformation's Sarutobi team came to them. The youth Sasuke, 7th generation Naruto, and Aunt Snake appeared on the battlefield on Taoshir's side. Who are you? No, it's impossible. Okay, pervy Sage. Third Hokage. In an instant, seeing and Naruto in the past were shocked. Looking at the impossible person in front of him, he exclaimed, not only them, but Taoshir and Jinchur on the opposite side also changed their expressions drastically. Two foxes? The broken arm of the boy in black was connected. I see time moving noble phantasm plow. That said, this time we failed. Taoshir came to his senses the moment he saw a few people and said with an ugly face, Sutsuki's noble phantasm, Mamashiki, is naturally known. Come on, Master Taoshir. It's time for you to devour my chakra. Just like my father gave me the power back then. Come on, don't hesitate. Jinchur also understood the current dangerous situation and quickly broke through the blockade like a thunderbolt, rushed to Taoshir and shouted, "Of course, I'm not being polite. This is the custom of our Sutsuki clan." Taoshir also quickly rushed towards Jinchur and called back. The appearance of Naruto Sasuke in the future makes the proud Momoshi see a lot. Get ready to retreat immediately after absorbing the gold formula. Not good, so fast. Third generation and Orochimaru shouted at the same time, chasing after them at explosive speed. But the speed they're so proud of couldn't touch the edge at all in front of Jinchur, who exploded with all his strength. Same goes for Tsunade and Jiraiya. Heaven's hand strength. Young Sasuke's gaze fixed, and the Rinnegan pupil technique was activated immediately. Immediately exchanged the incoming golden style with the dead wood in the distance. At the same time, Aunt Snake formed a seal with her hands, and 3 snake clones appeared instantly. He rushed to the 4 directions with the main body, and surrounded the peach pose with 4 corners in the southeast, northwest, and north. 4 black snake formation. Aunt Snake was naturally a person who did not speak harshly, and said in a low voice. A purple-black transparent cuboid barrier instantly enveloped Taoshir. As soon as Aunt Snake's handprint changed, dark purple poison was instantly injected into the enchantment, and Taoshir began to melt. Just let me see how strong Tsutsuki's physique is. Ant Snake looked at the floating peach-shaped mouth and said with a smile, "The four black snake formation is not ninjutsu. Cannot be absorbed by Taosher. Master Peach." Jinshur in the distance saw this face change, and the space around him quickly distorted. This is the pupil technique Hollow possessed by Jinshibaken. It has the ability to travel through space freely, can interkagai's space, and can make itself incorporeal. Transfer itself or other surrounding objects back and forth between the real space and the different space. When moving, suck yourself or others into a different space, and then release it to the target location. Jinshur will use this to pull Taosher into a different space. Don't try to succeed. Broken Arm Sasuke didn't understand what was going on, but he immediately activated the pupil technique to stop Jinshur. A pitch-black spatial channel appeared beside Jinshur, disrupting Jinshur's release of the pupil technique. Sage Art Inorganic Reincarnation. Sage Art Hair, Needles Samban. Sage Art Strange Power Fist. Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade attack at the same time, leaving Kinshiki overwhelmed. Third Generation and Four Shadows took the opportunity to rush forward. Launch the siege on Jinshur. Inside the four black snakes, all the escapism attacks released by the Tao style were melted by the purple-black poisonous mist. Even his body is constantly melting and recovering, going round and round. This is the chakra that is consuming him. Can't absorb it? Jinshur can't come here either. It can only be this way. Taosher sighed helplessly and looked around with an ugly expression. Put your hands in your mouth and devour two renegades with delight. No, this is about to transform. After Shiraishi's explanation, young Sasuke knew that Tsutsuki could devour information about Rinnegan's transformation. Immediately sounded a reminder. But his reminder was still one step too late. Under life and death, jumping transforms almost in a second. The white eyes of the peach-style binoculars instantly turned into a golden color. On the forehead, there is also a yellow vertical pupil Rinnegan. The hair became super long, multiple black stripes appeared on the body, and the horns on the head became erect and thickened. Except that there is no Rinnegan in both hands. It is the same as the devouring gold transformation. At this moment, there was a bang. An invisible energy erupted from Taosher's body, impacting the audience. Ant Snake's four black snake array was wiped out almost instantly. That aura is like a space blade, easily cutting through the withered giant god tier tree across the sky. This is exactly Rinnegan coercion of Tsutsuki. Damn low-level creatures. It actually forced me to use this state. You all have to be my nourishment today to make up for my loss of strength. After the transformation, Taosher seemed to be a little crazy, completely forgetting the fighting strategy of escaping. Shout out to the crowd. You guys actually interrupted the growth of Master Momoshiki. Ugly ants. Seeing Taosher's change, Jinshur seemed to be as uncomfortable as his dead parents and roared angrily. The red ring on the back emitted a dazzling red light, and several weapons emerged from it, rushing towards Seeing and the Sarutobi team. Kinshiki, who had one a moment, reached out and gouged out his left eye and threw it into his mouth. The chakra weapon ring on the back was also thrown into his mouth, crushed and absorbed. This operation stunned Shiraishi, who was secretly admiring the graceful legs. Can Jinshur also transform? This is not shown in the original book. Sure enough, the plot or something can't be believed too much. After Kinshiki devoured his eyes and weapons, the transformation Shiraishi feared didn't happen. Instead of that devoured hollow left eye, a deep purple Rinnegan emerged. The golden Rinnegan trembled, and an invisible repulsion impacted the audience. Seeing and the Sarutobi team were instantly blown away. God Luo Tianzhong. This is troublesome. Seeing this familiar attack, Sanshur immediately turned black. Jinshur made one move with one hand, and the previous weapons flew back to him. Combined together, it becomes a red chakra axe. Sage Art Painful Feet suddenly. The blasted Tsunade appeared in front of Jinshur in an instant. hit the golden front door with one foot. Jinshi stretched out his other hand expressionlessly and turned his palm into a fist to meet him. The strange power of the golden style is not weaker than Tsunade's sage art Tianjiao. Fists and feet collided. An invisible wind waved blue in all directions. In the next moment, Tsunade retreated with the help of the countershock. Sage Art Gomen, third generation, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya used Sage Art Wind style Fire style at the same time to attack the golden style. After Tsunade's test, just now, they determined that now is the interval between Shinluo Tianzhong. The overwhelming sea of flames rushed towards Jinshi like waves. Jinshi put a little ground under his feet, and his figure quickly rose and floated to avoid it. Don't try to escape. Kazekage Gaara stretched out her hands and wrapped her sandy hands around her golden feet. With a wave of the red giant axe in Jinshi's right hand, he easily cut off the sand and rushed to the sky. The other side, Taoshi also used black sticks and physical skills to start a fierce battle with two pairs of Mingzhua, Demo Zhao, and Ant Snake. No, there may be accidents if this continues. You too, we are your future, must kill them here. Otherwise, the future will be changed and the ninja world will be destroyed. Let's use Susan and Ninetales together. Youth Sasuke whispered after fighting back again. I see. Clear. In the past, Mingzhua responded at the same time, and the chakra on his body exploded. 7th generation Naruto and Youth Sasuke also broke out at the same time. In an instant, Super Prestige Susanoo takes shape while breathing. In terms of body shape, it is about the same size as the usual Vuitton Susanoo, but the quality is so different. Oops. Master Momoshiki, please accept my power. Jinshi, who was in the air, saw this and immediately roared and wanted to examine himself again. The Sarutobi team, and seeing, naturally disagreed and immediately stepped forward to stop it. Don't get in the way. Jinshi shouted angrily, and the Shinluo Tianzhong broke out again. Everyone was thrown out again. Also at this moment, Jinshi's body quickly shrank and turned into a red fruit uniform. Rush towards the peach pose like a gust of wind. Heavenly Hand Power. At the critical moment, the youth Sasuke shouted again, and the pupil technique was activated. The fruit transformed into gold, and the gravel in the distance transformed again. The fruit that fell on the ground was about to rush out. The body was suddenly held down by a figure. The fruit of chakra. Am I trying to save 10 years of detours? Shiraishi grabbed the trembling red fruit and shouted excitedly. Sure enough, Lying Winds or something is my favorite. Chapter 93 Unlucky Ghost Peach Style. Shiraishi Golden will style Humble Ants. I also want to get my hands on the power of Tsutsuki. The red fruit suddenly let out a rough, golden style, disdainful cry. In the next instant, a suction force emerges from the red fruit and quickly draws Shiraishi's chakra with just one short breath. Shiraishi's chakra is absorbed. With a bang, it turned into white smoke and disappeared. The red fruit gave a slight pause, and then it was ready to fly to the Tao style. Earth style, Tulia cut. When Shadow Clone Chakra was absorbed, Shiraishi, who had started Madras, shouted. The ground under the red fruit split apart in an instant, and a Shadow Clone suddenly appeared, kicking the fruit into the ground. Bang, bang, bang. A few more Shadow Clone appeared on both sides of the cut earth. As long as the red fruit flies out, just kick it down. Damn it. Thank goodness Lousy is stable enough. I knew these guys were untouchable. Shiraishi, who was hiding in the dark, said fearfully after looking at the shadow clones. If it wasn't for the fear of Jinshi's transformation again, Shiraishi would have put the red fruit directly into the hollow space. Hollow space is Shiraishi's name for the right eye pupil surgery space. Sage Art 4, Red Yang Formation. In less than a moment, the Sarutobi team came around the red fruit and shouted at the same time. The moment the red cube barrier was formed, Shiraishi finally let go of his worries. But the peach style on the other side is fried. The chakra that reaches the mouth can fly. How can this be tolerated? But the two super powerful costumes of Mingzhua, Susanoo, blocked him from advancing. Inukai Kinmei, Pheasant hunting, so the peach style burst out directly under the wrath, summoning only chakra monsters at once. Inukai jamming. Multiple dragon-headed, snake-bodied monsters transformed from the earth attribute chakra. Pheasant hunting. A huge firebird transformed from the fire attribute chakra. Ape Rock. A lava titan created by chakra with fire and earth dual attributes. As soon as the three monsters appeared, Momoshiki merged into Yuanyan Titan and manipulated Titan to attack Nine-Tail Susanoo. The melee of four supersized monsters caused the entire world to collapse, as if a natural disaster had come. Okay, this scene is a bit too hot. Seeing the Nine-Tails Susan surrounded by three monsters, Shiraishi subconsciously shouted 003. Immediately, Shiraishi saw that everyone was attracted by the battle over there. Can't help thinking carefully. If things go on like this, Momoshiki doesn't know what's going on. But the golden fruit will definitely become Ant Snake's research object. At that time, he may not necessarily have his share. Therefore, no matter whether it is useful or not, let's talk about the benefits first. Shiraishi took out a blade as thin as a flap, engraved with the Flying Thunder God spell. This is his only successful Flying Thunder God blade in these 2 days. Shiraishi took the blade and winked at a shadow clone. Use the right eye pupil technique hollow. Inhale the hollow space. Next moment, the shadow clone also used the hollow pupil technique, bringing the blade into the Sizzyang formation. Shiraishi's left eye control pupil technique was activated, and the flying knife, as thin as a cicada's wing, quickly slashed at the red fruit. Under the cover of the shadow clones, the flying knives can cut out a needle-like pulp on the fruit every time. And to Shiraishi's surprise, every bit of red pulp lost will be automatically restored. In an instant, Shiraishi began to enjoy the wool at this time. The furious Jinchuo was only thinking about rushing out of the 4 red yang formation and didn't care about Shiraishi's operation at all. While Shiraishi is picking up wool here, the battle over there is also heating up. After the 3 monsters were wiped out by Super Susanoo Nine-Tails, Momoshiki used a familiar move again, Tengai Shinsei, or several at a time. Tailed Beast Bomb Barrage. Soos when Nine-Tails roared, and several tailed beast bombs flew out. The meteorite instantly turned into a fragmented meteor in the sky, rushing towards the earth like a storm. The wall of sand. Kazekage Gaara stretched out his hands, adding a shield to Seikage and Shiraishi. The Tuming Zwa and Ant Snake naturally didn't care about the aftermath of these attacks. It's now. See Highway Mao Wu Zi Yu Wu Si. Forbidden technique, the ghouls are completely sealed. And Snake, who had been waiting for a long time, saw that Tao Shi, CBCB, entered the melee state again and shouted without hesitation. Beside him, the white Zetsu clone that was prepared by Japan is bound by a lion majesty. And Snake, who summoned Shinigami, turned into an afterimage and rushed towards Momoshiki. What is that? The peach-like eyes are Rinnegan, whose pupil power has already surpassed the boundary of life and death. I saw the phantom of Shinigami behind Ant Snake at a glance. However, Momoshiki didn't know much about Shinigami, and simply thought it was a ninjutsu attack. I am missing the peach style of chakra, so naturally I will not miss this chakra delivered to my door facing the Tumingzwa. Momoshiki is quite embarrassed now. That is, I see. The youth Sasuke also saw the phantom of Shinigami behind Ant Snake through Rinnegan. With a low murmur, the long knife in his hand was thrown at the pick style. At the moment when Momo dodges, the youth Sasuke's pupil technique is activated again. The positions of Ant Snake and Long Dao are swapped in an instant. The moment she appeared behind Tao Shi, Ant Snake grabbed Tao Shi tightly with both hands. Shinigami's hand instantly penetrated Ant Snake's body, grabbing Tao Shi's soul. Just about to absorb Ant Snake, Chakra's peach pose, her body trembled and her movements froze in place. Youth Sasuke immersed himself in front of Momoshiki. Without hesitation, he reached out to dig out his eyes. This is the top priority, Shiraishi said, after deciding on the capture plan. Whether it is Raleigh or Rinnegan, neither can leave one for the other. Looking at the hands in front of him, Tao Shi's eyes trembled. The ability to freeze time activates. This is a pupil technique that can freeze the opponent's time. At the same time, it can also be used as a sealing technique. Damn, how come? You can't even move. Tao Shi, whose body was restrained by Shinigami, changed his expression. Looking around the current state, it is obviously a dead end. How could the proud Tsutsuki pass away like this? Momoshiki looks at the young man Sasuke, who is close at hand, even though he wants to plan a wedge for him. It could be a slight difference, but 1,000 miles. His body cannot touch the youth Sasuke at all. In desperation, Momoshiki had no choice but to choose Orochimaru behind him. Even if you wake up temporarily in the future, you can still look for the next container. Then, Momoshi chose a path that was sure to die. Plant a wedge on Orochimaru, who activates the ghoul seal. Inferior creatures. Just wait, I will be back. Momoshiki smiled confidently, turned himself into a wedge, and drove into Orochimaru's body. At the same time, the time freeze was lifted. Momo's body melted into bubbles and disappeared quickly. Youth Sasuke naturally didn't catch anything, and the Shinigami Phantom behind Ant Snake quietly waited for Ant Snake to find her target again after losing her target. Or lift the ghoul seal. How is this going? Did you let him run away? Ant Snake looked at the empty surroundings with an ugly expression and said in surprise, "If you let Tao Shi escape, you will be in big trouble." He originally thought that this preparation would be foolproof. He sealed Tao Shi's soul and left his body for research. Intelligence can also be obtained with the worst offering, the Impure World Reincarnation Peach. Didn't expect that to happen. Just when Ant Snake was in doubt, on the palm of his hand, a black diamond imprint quietly appeared. Have no idea. I didn't find that he had this pupil technique last time. I just saw him disappear into bubbles. Young Sasuke also had an ugly face. Last time, Momo was parasitic Boruto within the giant red Rasengan. So young Sasuke really doesn't know what's going on. This is troublesome. We influenced the future. 7th generation Naruto patted his head and said angrily, his face ashen. Ming's Wolf from the past time and space looked at the three with ugly faces and opened his mouth to ask. Don't worry, Tao Shi did not escape, but planted a wedge to seal himself. When the two spoke, Shiraishi's voice came first. He has been paying attention to the battle situation here just now, and he is very clear about the jumping situation. Plant the wedge. Ant Snake and young Sasuke shouted at the same time. Just now, the two of them were the closest to Tao Shi. Unanimously, the two took out their palms and began to check. This is also the information that Shiraishi informed in advance, just in case. Good to know in advance who has been recruited. Tao Shi really knows how to choose people, but this time he miscalculated. Ant Snake stretched out her palm and laughed at the few people. Unlucky for him, the youth Sasuke breathed a sigh of relief secretly and sighed with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Ha, looks like we succeeded this time. 7th generation Naruto laughed happily, not at all calm, as usual. What the hell is going on here? Broken Arm Sasuke saw several people beaming, retracted the long knife, and asked. It can't be said. It will affect the future. All in all, it's a good thing. I will tamper with all of your memories with illusions. I hope you don't resist. The youth Sasuke stepped forward and said calmly. Mings will looked at each other and nodded in agreement. Ant Snake didn't care about these things and quickly came to the golden fruit. The Sarutobi squad that deployed the 4 Red Yang formation also untied the magic circle. Ant Snake held the fruit with one hand, not waiting for Jinshi to absorb his chakra. Shinigami's hand grabs Kinshiki's soul. However, question. Shinigami can't pull out Jinshiki's soul. Although Jinshiki's will can be bound, Shinigami's soul cannot be pulled out. The previous Peach pose, I didn't dissipate without trying to pull out his soul. Now it seems that the ghoul seal can only play the role of restraining Tsutsuki. The Tsutsuki family is so special. Ant Snake quickly understood why inside. But he can't change back to himself now. Otherwise, he should have changed back to break through the barrier long ago. Orochimaru came to Ant Snake and said with burning eyes, take it back first and then talk. Ant Snake opened her mouth and spit out a box, put the golden fruit in it, and said, "If you can't touch it directly, put it in the box first." Immediately, Ant Snake threw the box to the youth Sasuke and turned to White Zetsu clone. White Snake Sage came out of Ant Snake's mouth and quickly entered White Zetsu's avatar to complete the reincarnation. Shinigami, once again tricked by snake skin. Fire style, great fireball technique. Ant Snake, who was reincarnated successfully, spat out a fireball without hesitation and burned her own body. Seeing the imprint disappearing from the palm, Annie immediately felt relieved. Shiraishi watched all this silently, thinking in his heart that he had a foresight. If you don't start early, there is no benefit at all now. He had exhausted his pupil power just now, and had obtained more than 30 pieces of golden-style fruit meat shreds. Those shredded flesh did not show any golden will. Go back and try the effect. Kazekage Gaara looked at several people and was about to ask questions. The purple Ryogo Jade Rinnegan flashed in front of his eyes. At the same time, Leguya Rinnegan also appeared in Mizukage movie like Shadow, Naruto, and that Nine Tails. I have modified their memory to the memory in my memory. Let's go back first. The youth Sasuke looked at the few people with dull eyes and said to everyone. A dark space passage appeared in front of young Sasuke. Seeing and Mingzwa in the past walked into the space passage with dull eyes. Shiraishi, who was anxious to go back to test the pulp, followed immediately. Others followed. Chapter 94, Ant Snake's Tyrant Behavior. Konoha, 80 years, Hokage office roof, a golden light flashed undetectably quickly. 7th generation Naruto, youth Sasuke, Ant Snake, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shiraishi. A group of 8 people suddenly appeared. Konoha hasn't changed. My memory is still the same. We made it. Looking at the peaceful Konoha village, 7th generation Naruto exclaimed excitedly, recalling the Peach invasion battle. Okay, won't you watch Boruto's wedge disappear, no? Young Sasuke raised a corner of his mouth and reminded him aloud. In order to avoid the gap between Boruto and Naruto, the illusion he gave Boruto before is also the same as in memory. Boruto, everyone, I'm going home first. 7th generation Naruto's eyes were shining. He murmured and turned to leave quickly. Both of you, come with me to find a way to obtain gene-style information. Sasuke, your Rinnegan may help. Ant Snake sends out an invitation to young Sasuke and Orochimaru. Although I didn't capture Tsutsuki alive this time, the golden fruit is not a small harvest. Young Sasuke and Orochimaru were naturally very interested in this, and followed Ant Snake to leave. I'm going back to rest. I'm so tired. Shiraishi thought of those golden-style shredded meat, left a word in his heart, and ran back to the temporary residence. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya, and Tsunade saw a few people leaving, and they also dispersed. Shiraishi returns to the residence, can't wait to use the restored pupil power to take out all the golden shreds. That hollow space is not Shiraishi's independent space. Putting it there, Shiraishi was a little worried. He took out a piece of pulp and looked at the slender red pulp. Shiraishi is a little hesitant. Is it really okay to eat this thing directly? It is said that there is no golden will in it. This should be pure chakra. But what if it happens? I only have one life, so I can't just let it go like this. Shadow clone technique. After thinking about it, Shiraishi shouted with his hands clasped together. That's too much, my body. Such a dangerous thing. Let me experience it. As soon as Shadow Clone appeared, complaints rang in Shiraishi's ears. No way. Well, let me share your memory. If you use animals or other people to do experiments, you will not have this kind of personal experience. Shiraishi handed over the pulp in his hand and said helplessly, "After all, isn't it just squeezing my avatar?" Shadow Clone rolled his eyes, muttered, and stuffed the shredded pulp into his mouth. The shredded pulp melted in the mouth, and a huge chakra instantly appeared in Shadow Clone's body. Outside the body surface, there are chakra dances that are chaotic and chaotic. What a mighty chakra. It feels that there are many more chakra than all the chakra on the body. But the quality seems to be a little different. Feeling the changes in the body, Shadow Clone said in surprise. Just when Shiraishi was excited, Shadow Clone suddenly popped his eyes. It disappeared with a bang. The huge chakra was instantly fed back to Shiraishi, causing Shiraishi's expression to change. Feedback chakra is almost twice as much as his. But this is not the key. The key is the difference in the quality of chakra. It's like the difference between a liquid and a solid. This kind of chakra instantly fills Shiraishi's body everywhere, and all the cells desperately absorb and grow. Overused Manjiki Sharingan, as if dropped into water with a sponge. The Manjiki pattern of the eyes rotates rapidly, and the pupil power quickly returns to its peak and climbs again. Just these eyes absorbed about half of the energy. Bones, internal organs, blood, and other organs are driven by the remaining energy. An astonishing transformation of the body erupted. Shiraishi's physical strength also increased rapidly. But fortune and misfortune depend on each other. His physical fitness is too poor. The deficiency is not replenished, and the body is rapidly breaking down on the verge of collapse. Damn it, because Tsutsuki's power is really not so easy to steal. No wonder gotta be 10 Tails Jinchuriki first. This ordinary person's small body can't bear it at all. Still not stable enough. Feeling the changes in his body, Shiraishi thought like crying. The power of the 10 Tails sacred tree? No, just a similar chakra. Shiraishi, what's going on? Sensing the change in Shiraishi's body, young Nine Tails stared and shouted in the sealed space. While speaking, Nine Tails chakra enveloped Shiraishi's whole body. The mighty power of Tailed Beast helps Shiraishi repair his body. This energy itself is half absorbed by the Manjiki Sharingan and some by the body. Nine Tails, who split 10 Tails strength, took control of the situation easily. Kurama, thank you this time. Shiraishi's consciousness entered the sealed space and thanked young Nine Tails. Shiraishi, what is that power? Why is it similar to chakra from 10 Tails? Young Nine Tails asked Shiraishi with a serious fox face. Because Shiraishi pays attention to privacy, he uses the 4-element seal to close the ability of young Nine Tails to peep. So, except that Shiraishi took the initiative to open the seal. Young Nine Tails know nothing about the outside world. Relax, it's not Tsutsuki coming. I got a little Tsutsuki power and almost flipped over. Thank you this time, Kurama. Shiraishi brushed peach style, gold style. Thanks again. The power of Tsutsuki? No wonder the power is similar to 10 Tails. Fortunately, this time it was only a little bit, and it was not a big problem. After this time, maybe we can try Kurama mode. Young Nine Tails felt the strength of Shiraishi's body now, and he lay down on the ground lazily before recovering. Kurama mode? It seems that I was a blessing in disguise this time. Shiraishi was overjoyed when he heard young Nine Tails say that. No, I happen to be charging the little turtle right now. Kurama, let's talk later. Shiraishi suddenly slapped his forehead and thought. His consciousness quickly exited the sealed space. Bat. Shiraishi, who regained consciousness, took out the little turtle with one hand, controlling the soaring chakra, mixed with Nine Tails chakra to start output. 1 card of chakra can charge energy for 3 years. This time, with the help of the power of inflation, Shiraishi easily charged the little turtle with energy for 50 years. But the amount of chakra in Shiraishi itself has not reached a dozen or so calories of chakra. After the consumption of the body and Manjiki and the little turtle, after Shiraishi's body recovers, there is only about 4 calories of chakra. Compared with the previous 1.3 card chakra, it has more than quadrupled. The increase in the amount of chakra is actually not the point. The point is still Manjiki and body changes. Shiraishi, this pair of Manjiki, was previously consumed by Uchiha Shin. The loss of pupil power is actually not small. After this time, Tonli's power not only returned to its peak, but also improved further. Not to mention the physical aspect. Let Nine Tails tell you to try Kurama mode, and the physical fitness is at least comparable to Jinin. Sure enough, wealth and wealth are sought after insurance. Although this wave is a bit risky, the rewards are good. Most importantly, Have a clear plan for the future. Stealing Tsutsuki's power is not difficult. The hard part is sustaining that power. Otherwise, being assimilated by power and becoming 10 tails, wouldn't it be a big laugh? Shiraishi looked at the bright lights outside the window and made up his mind. Next day, Shiraishi came to Ant Snake's laboratory early in the morning. How about it? Did you get any information on Tsutsuki? Seeing the three with tired faces, Shiraishi stepped forward and asked. Kim's will is strong. In addition to saying a few words at the beginning, he wanted to resist on a rampage. It's like a dead thing now. Conventional torture methods in the ninja world didn't work for him at all. Only Sasuke's Rinnegan can read a little bit of information. Current information, like intelligence as we know it, is of little value. Orochimaru turned around and took the initiative to explain. Although the progress is slow, there is already a way to obtain information on Tsutsuki. Reading the Golden Memory requires a lot of pupil power. Asking for flowers. I can only do it a little bit now. The youth Sasuke said wearily, covering his eyes that had turned into black pupils. Ant Snake, on the other hand, stared silently at the crumbs of fruit in the container, researching with excitement and fatigue. Is that so? Then take your time. We are not in a hurry. Master, when shall we leave? I've had enough energy. Shiraishi murmured to Orochimaru. In the Boruto biography, Shiraishi is actually unwilling to stay. Here, Shiraishi just has a quick understanding before crossing. It doesn't have the kind of passionate feelings of the prequel. So fast. Youth Sasuke exclaimed in amazement. They only spent 4 days this time. Well, there was some left before. Then in the past few days, I have improved some strength. So just. Shiraishi babbled nonsense. You've got all the benefits. What are you doing here? Orochimaru, I need 20 immortal seals, and a large number of ascending spells, and all your research materials and equipment. Orochimaru turned his head to look at Ant Snake, and the unceremonious lion opened his mouth and said, Ant Snake said before that she will do her best to help. Ant Snake, who was studying the golden power, froze for a moment, then returned to normal. Those things are indeed the research results that he valued before. But in front of the power of Tsutsuki, it is not precious. As long as I have here, what do you want? However, the cursed seal of the immortal and the cursed seal of the sky. Not as much as you asked for. The information is given to you. Go back and get it yourself. Just a word of caution. Those are things that are not mass-produced and are rare products that I carefully developed. If there is mass production, there will be a large number of cursed ninjas in Konoha long ago. Ant Snake looked at the golden fruit crumbs in the container and gave Orochimaru and Shiraishi a basin of cold water. Rare items? What's the meaning? Shiraishi paused in excitement and hurriedly asked. Nima, he just imagined that the curse-sealed army pushed Kaguya, Ishur, unknown Tsutsu. It turned out to be such a sharp turn? It's outrageous. Don't you think? 90% success rate of the Immortal Curse Seal, 98% success rate of the Heaven's Curse Seal. Will no one try Konoha? Immortal Curse Seal, I only have 2 copies left. There are only 5 copies of the upgraded Heavenly Curse Seal. If it is mass-produced, the success rate will definitely drop. Moreover, the existing raw materials do not allow the mass production of spell printing. But if it is you, maybe there is this possibility. Ant Snake turned around and looked back at Orochimaru, jokingly. That is to say, what really restricts the mass production of mantras are the raw materials. Were the raw materials? Orochimaru's eyes flashed brightly, staring at Ant Snake and asked. Hashirama cells, Rinnegan Madara cells, Sage body genes are fine. Use their genes or cells to neutralize the erosion of the curse seal on the body. To achieve the purpose of upgrading the curse seal. Ant Snake told the secret of the curse seal without reservation. It's really simple and rude. Shiraishi observed a moment of silence for Hashirama and Madara again, murmuring in a low voice. Having said that, the proportions and configurations are not so easy to study. Both Shiraishi and Orochimaru are well aware of this. The 2 copies of the Immortal Curse Seal and 5 copies of the Heaven's Curse Seal. I want it too. I need samples, and I need to give 5th generation an explanation. Orochimaru pushed forward with no shame. Up to you, I'm not interested in those things anymore. Aunt Snake waved her hand indifferently, like a local tyrant giving alms to beggars. This made Orochimaru, who was a little happy to get the curse mark. Suddenly, I feel a little depressed, empty, and boring. Master, your current appearance reminds me of the past. That is the joy of my passing away local tyrant. Listen to the music on the hook. How many girls are flattering me? Seeing Orochimaru's expression, Shiraishi complained silently in his heart. Chapter 95, re-entering the prequel, Cross-Border Fetters Open. Shiraishi, please take us to the 5th generation this time. We're going to let the Konoha team go there to practice and grow. Youth Sasuke was a little embarrassed seeing the scene and exited to break the deadlock. Last night, 7th generation Naruto came over to check Jinchu's intelligence progress. By the way, the wedge in Boruto's hand has disappeared. Then, after discussing with Aunt Snake and young man Sasuke, he made this decision. The Konoha squad? I see. So when do we leave? A strange color flashed in Shiraishi's eyes, and he agreed. Just noon. Meet at the Hokage office. I'm going to inform the others now. Thinking of the long-lost figure, young Sasuke pretended to be calm and said calmly, Master, Orochimaru-sensei, what about you? Shiraishi turned to Orochimaru and Aunt Snake and asked. It's decided. I went to Miyue and told him some things. All the information is here. You feel free to. Aunt Snake didn't make much sense about it and left in a hurry after sealing the golden fruit. Youth Sasuke followed home and informed the others. Hey, Master, you know how to give alms to local tyrants. What's the best attitude? Seeing the two leave, Shiraishi turned to Orochimaru with a smirk. What? Orochimaru was taken aback, not knowing why. Of course it was all packed and taken away. I'm not used to his attitude just now. This time we actually lost all of Jinshiguo Kikiki, so we should get some benefits anyway. That's what he said. Let's do whatever we want. Show him the dangers of the genin world today. Shiraishi smiled like a fox. The eyes of the Manjiki Sharingan are opened, and the eyes are sent to the hollow space after focusing on some small instruments. Orochimaru looked at Shiraishi's movements, and after a moment of stunned, the corners of his mouth raised a slight arc. Although the method is a bit shameless, it seems quite interesting to make that guy deflate. In front of Aunt Snake, Orochimaru has been suppressed. How is it possible that there is no opinion in mind? Orochimaru took a scroll from the ninja bag and broke the seal. With a bang, a blank storage scroll appeared. This was originally Orochimaru, prepared to store a large amount of data. Now just right, Master is a cruel person. The layout is small. Shiraishi opened his mouth wide and shook his head when he saw Orochimaru, who didn't leave a blade of grass. Noon Hokage office. Father, are you really not going there? Siyue seemed indifferent, but actually asked Aunt Snake reluctantly. No, that world doesn't hold much nostalgia for me. Aunt Snake glanced at Jiraiya subconsciously and refused in a deep voice. His bond with Jiraiya, these few days are enough. Researching the golden fruit is Aunt Snake's top priority now. I didn't expect to see you again. Grandfather, the young man Konoha stood beside 3rd generation with his chest upright and said with tears in his eyes. 3rd generation looked at the youth Konoha, and the corners of his eyes twitched twice again. He is only 38 for years old. This grandpa made him very hurt. Next time, I will definitely not mix it with traveling through the world again. If there are too many, I will suffer from a nervous breakdown. Finally, it's our turn. Mr. Sasuke, why did you knock me out last time? Really missed a lot of wonderful events. Boruto pursed his lips and shouted in displeasure. But my heart is so excited. This time, he will definitely behave better than his father when he was a child. Then let's go. Dad, I can't wait to meet Tianbua. Zhuoliangna clenched her hands and shouted excitedly. Her heart was filled with excitement. She had only heard a few words about the existence of that uncle. No is a great ninja. Nothing else is clear. Let's go. I have engraved a sealing technique for them and will not leak the secret. 7th generation Naruto looked at Shiraishi and decided. Shiraishi, who couldn't wait for a long time, immediately took out the little turtle and disappeared into Hokage's office with everyone. Ant Snake dodged quickly to avoid the golden light, to avoid being brought in. Across the world? Next time, I'm also very interested in this. Ant Snake looked at the empty office and said to herself, thinking of the golden fruit. Ant Snake returned to the laboratory with a burning heart. After a while, Ant Snake's footsteps froze as she walked into the laboratory, and her unwavering expression was instantly dumbfounded. Looking at the almost empty laboratory is a bit confusing. Except for large equipment, there's not even a chair left in the entire laboratory. Is Konoha so poor in 32 years? Orochimaru, Yamashiro, Shiraishi. In the empty laboratory, the snake's long-lost anger sounded. Konoha 61 years 1 month since the last time Shiraishi left Hokage office. 5th generation Tsunade was struggling with a headache when a golden light flashed in front of his eyes. Master Tsunade, Shizen next to him immediately reminded him vigilantly, making a defensive posture. Next moment, a dozen figures suddenly appeared. Long time no see. Tsunade, seeing the familiar figure, Jiraiya shouted carelessly. You. Shizen stopped his guarded movements and watched the crowd's mouths wide open, hesitating and speechless. Shizen is not ignorant of Shiraishi's existence. After all, she was there when the first crossing happened. But the appearance of 7th generation Naruto surprised her. Grandma Tsunade, Amachiha Sarana, please give me more advice in the future. Seeing Tsunade's eyes light up, Zuliana stepped forward and smiled sweetly. Master 5th generation, I am Mitsuki. Miue followed closely with a very respectful posture. I need no introduction. We met last time, Granny Tsunade. Boruto scratched his head and said with a smirk very familiar. When little Tsunade heard this, he wanted to get angry and felt that it was not appropriate. Angrily turned his head and pretended not to hear, his face full of displeasure. Master 5th generation. See you again. I'm Konohamaru. The young Konohamaru looked at the 5th generation Tsunade, who was obviously different in spirit, and said slightly restrained. Konohamaru? Is it that big now? Shizen exclaimed when he saw Konohamaru, a young man about his own age. Before that, he was still a little carrot head. At this time, the Konohamaru team also took off the forehead protector and the Junin vest. They are. 5th generation Tsunade looked at the youth Sasuke and Orochimaru wondering. The Konohamaru team is an exchange student sent here. The peach form of Boruto has been removed. There is no risk. Granny, where is Pervy Sage? 7th generation Naruto interrupted the conversation and asked, that guy should practice at Mount Maiboku. He said to practice a more perfect sage mode. Naruto, congratulations on fulfilling your dream. To be the 7th Hokage who inherited the name of Hokage. 5th generation Tsunade stared at the Hokage robe of 7th generation Naruto, a little dazed. On the body of 7th generation Naruto, she seemed to see the yellow-haired boy with bared teeth and giggling again. Is that so? Then they leave it to you. Ninja reverse summoning technique. 7th generation Naruto shouted to everyone while forming seals excitedly. Then with a bang, it turned into white smoke and disappeared. Dad, really, it's still so unreliable. Boruto yelled loudly and said unhappily, exchange student? Coincidentally, I really lack some elite genin after Naruto left. Konohamaru team, then you will replace Naruto Kakashi in them. Help me with those tricky tasks. 5th generation Tsunade slapped the table and said to Konohamaru's team, she is having a headache over this matter at this time. This is sleepy, sending a pillow. In fact, 5th generation Tsunade does not lack combat power. Incorporating the ninjas of Northeast by East and Odanin Village, many Konoha shinobi have been liberated. But some tasks are too high or too low. It just lacks the powerful genin squad, like the 7th class and Guy class. You can't use a cannon to kill mosquitoes. Moreover, because of 5th generation Tsunade's cultivation requirements for the Konoha genin congregation, it also took up the time of some staff, and the manpower was a little tight. When a few people heard that they were doing the tasks of their parents, predecessors, they immediately raised their spirits and were full of energy. Sorry, I can't let Zwa Liangna execute the Rin 2 for the time being. I'm going to take her to meet someone. Youth Sasuke's exit interrupted 5th generation Tsunade's arrangement, causing several people's excited expressions to stagnate. Then let them adapt to the environment here first. You can wait for a few days. 5th generation Tsunade is not bad these days, and he looks at Shizune after agreeing. Shizune, you take them through the ID first. Then find a suitable house to live in. Yes, Master Tsunade. Shizune immediately agreed to Tsunade's order. Grandma Tsunade, I want to live in Dad's room. Boruto yelled loudly when he heard this gleam in his eyes. Can. 5th generation Tsunade paused, nodded in agreement. Grandpa, I want to ask you to teach me, because my ninjutsu is practiced according to the scrolls of you and Asuma uncle, so some places may not be fully understood. Young Konohamaru invited 3rd generation. In fact, it is false to discuss, but it is true to want to be recognized by the 3rd generation. This is Konohamaru's long-cherished wish since childhood. The old man will give you pointers. 3rd generation also wanted to see Konohamaru's talent and agreed. While talking, the youth Sasuke quickly left with Zarana. Boruto and Mizuki follow Shizune to Naruto's house. As a good friend of Boruto, Mitsuki naturally asked to live next to or near Boruto. Youth Konohamaru and 3rd generation also meet at dusk. No. It's a meeting at Konoha Hushin. In a blink of an eye that leaves Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shiraishi in the office. How about the curse seal? Seeing that there was no one else, 5th generation Tsunade went straight to the topic. There are things, but not many. I can only give you 5 Heaven's curse seals. There is a 98% success rate. Others, I want to give those children some protection. I will leave you another copy of the information and a sample of the Immortal Curse Seal. That Orochimaru will make more finished products. Orochimaru didn't hide anything and said frankly, this was previously discussed with Shiraishi. I don't know when it will be mass-produced, so let the world Orochimaru from the world rubs the curse seal with his hands first. They provide the ingredients. How to mass-produce time and space research in World War II. Two-pronged approach, without delay, 4.5 delay. The Immortal Curse Seal? 98% of the Curse Seal of the sky. Alright, I'll pick 5 people to try out. 5th generation Tsunade answered with a murmur in his mouth, without asking carefully. Anyway, there are materials and finished products, and the effect can be truly seen. Orochimaru, then please go to him and explain it to him. Jiraiya, Kazuna, Shiraishi. I have one more thing to ask you. 5th generation Tsunade looked serious and said a little seriously. What's up? Shiraishi said in surprise. We have found traces of Danzo in the land of the winds. But that guy is scheming and powerful. No one is his opponent except us, Sannin Konoha. But we can't go out of the village to look for him for a long time. So, I would like to ask you to lead an Umbu team to kill Danzo. He knows that Konoha has too much information. We can't let him go on like this. 5th generation Tsunade looked at the 3 of them and said solemnly, she doesn't know Shiraishi's current strength, but she knows that Shiraishi can explode the power of 9 tails. How to say the strength is also beyond the existence of Junin. Danzo? This one will do just fine with me and Tsunade. No need for Jiraiya and Umbu. With a roll of Shiraishi's eyeballs, the scarlet Mangeki Sharingan opened, assuring with a pat on his chest. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to pick up a girl. How can he let Jiraiya, a light bulb, go sideways? TB. Shursui distinguished heavenly gods. Shiraishi is also bound to win. Chapter 96, 7th Generation and Middle-Aged Jiraiya. Teasing Tsunade Mount, Maiboka middle-aged Jiraiya sits cross-legged on top of a giant stone frog. Attracting the natural energy of the universe, there are birds circling around, sitting. There are several stone frogs around, and each has a Jiraiya there to absorb natural energy. Suddenly, Jiraiya seemed to sense something. Eyes opened suddenly. All shadow clone disappeared at the same time. The red fairy face is quickly extended. The pupils of the eyes turn into toad pupils, and the orange eye shadow appears on the fundus. The beard and white hair on the chin grew wildly again, turning into a bad old man. The nose didn't get bigger, the toes didn't frog. Jiraiya, is the progress fast this time? Sento Fukasaku shouted in satisfaction after seeing this change. Pervy sage. I didn't expect your sage mode to look like this. Much more handsome than I imagined. Suddenly, a familiar yet unfamiliar voice rang in the ears of Jiraiya and Fukasaku. One person and one toad were instantly shocked. There are people who can come here under the perception of their immortals. Naruto. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, Jiraiya exclaimed, Naruto? Is that the son of prophecy you receive? Fukasaku turned his head to look at the tall and burly 7th generation Naruto and shouted in surprise. Suddenly, Fukasaku saw the pupils of 7th generation Naruto's Hokage robe shrink. 7th Hokage? Isn't Konoha now only up to 5th generation Tsunade? It turned out to be you. I didn't expect that you would come to find me. Naruto, you have really become what you dreamed of. Good job, Naruto. Jiraiya looked at 7th generation Naruto with a look of relief and sighed. The little ghost who surrounded him every day has actually grown into a Hokage who guards the village. Despite getting this intel from Shiraishi. 21. But the impact of seeing is believing still makes Jiraiya feel very touched. Pervy sage. 7th generation Naruto couldn't stop crying when he heard Jiraiya's approval. Once upon a time, this scene was what he dreamed of, although it may be a bit inappropriate. Sorry, Naruto, didn't attend your wedding. This is my congratulatory gift, and I will give it to you now. Jiraiya looked at the emotionally out of control 7th generation Naruto, scratched his head, took out a book from his arms, and handed it over. When Jiraiya saw Boruto, she knew that Naruto was married and had children. So, take this gift with you. Jiraiya, 7th generation Naruto, trembled when he saw the name of the book. In that time and space, he was after Jiraiya's death. Get this book from Fukasaku Sanjin. But this time, it was Jiraiya who handed it to him. The meaning of it is naturally not the same. Jiraiya, what's going on here? Immortal Fukasaku looked at the two people who had a lot of feelings and asked puzzledly. Master Fukasaku, this is the end of today's training. I will tell you later. Naruto, come with me. Jiraiya waved at Fukasaku Sanjin with a smile, calling 7th generation Naruto to leave here. Looking at the familiar back that was bold and unrestrained, 7th generation Naruto wiped away his tears and followed immediately. Among the huge lotus leaf bushes, two figures quickly shuttled away. When Fukasaku, immortal, was in a daze, a white smoke drifted by, and the young Jiraiya appeared beside it. Jiraiya? Outside Konoha village, ninja summoning technique. Shiraishi pressed the seal on the ground and shouted. A white smoke drifted past, and a large field-brown snake appeared at the feet of the two. Next to Shiraishi, naturally Miss Tsunade. Jiraiya, that light bulb, past Shiraishi's 3-inch tongue. I was fooled to go to the middle-aged Jiraiya to exchange experience. As soon as the big snake appeared, he went straight to the land of wind under Shiraishi's order. Shiraishi deliberately lagged behind half a step. Looking at Tsunade's youthful and attractive body, he was a little distracted. Under the fast speed of the big snake, Tsunade, standing on the head of the snake, is heroic. The light yellow, single-horse tail fluttered with the wind, and the robe on his body was blown close to his body by the wind, outlining an astonishing curve. Now Tsunade is not wearing a green robe. It's a white t-shirt top, a red skirt, and the fishnet lining and stockings of a ninja suit. To have good looks, to have curves. The whole person is full of youthful vitality and the ceiling of pure desire. The so-called. Keep warm and think about that what? Shiraishi, who has mastered the power of self-preservation, began to feel uneasy again after suppressing the restlessness for a long time. Thinking about the good times before time travel, Shiraishi is a bit unbearable. Tsunade, how is your Manjiki fusion going? Do you feel any discomfort? Last time I saw you seemed to have comprehended Susan. What about other pupil techniques? Shiraishi seemed to be honest and concerned about asking. Know yourself and know the enemy. and you will never be imperiled in 100 battles. Still alright. Uchihas, Manjiki works well with my Senju physique. After that fusion, my physique seemed to be awakened again. The current physique and chakra have doubled several times. The pupil technique also. Tsunade heard the question and immediately chirped with interest. She really didn't expect that the combination of Senju and Uchiha's power would increase the strength so much. Now Tsunade, thank you Shiraishi for this proposal. But the more Shiraishi listened, the more uncertain he became. Even a little sour, Tsunade not only comprehended the pupil technique, but also activated the first stage of Susanoo-hii. If it wasn't for the fact that Jinshur was too strong, this pupil technique wouldn't be very effective. Tsunade used this ULT last time, such as Tsunade makes Shiraishi, who is preparing for a beast, instantly become a gentleman. Well, Tsunade, you wait a moment. Hearing Tsunade's pupil technique, Shiraishi reacted abruptly. He hasn't gone to see what's going on in the hollow space yet. Shiraishi's eyes turned scarlet instantly and turned to Manjiki's Sharingan. The right eye pupil technique hollow activates. The space around Shiraishi twisted instantly, pulling him into the hollow space. Really here? Is this now an independent space? Shiraishi shouted in surprise as he looked at the filled hollow space. Wherever he looked, there were things in Ant Snake's laboratory. Before, Shiraishi was worried that he would not be able to bring it, so he packed some popular products. The real good stuff is in Orochimaru. No, I have to test it. With a thought, Shiraishi distorted and disappeared again. Tsunade saw Shiraishi disappearing and reappearing quickly. A bit unclear, so, what are you doing? Tsunade tilted his head, blinking his big eyes in confusion. Shiraishi's heart beat faster after seeing the cuteness that was revealed inadvertently. Do an experiment. You use pupil technique to send me into your pupil technique space. Or go in yourself and see if there's anything in there. Shiraishi urged quickly and steadily. Experiment. Tsunade murmured suspiciously, turning his eyes to Manjiki's Sharingan. The familiar hollow ability emanates from Tsunade's right eye, pulling Shiraishi into a new space. Here, Shiraishi sees some medical equipment and supplies, and some thin blades scattered around. What's the matter with these things? Pressing the ecstasy in his heart, Shiraishi asked while pointing at those things. Have no idea. Anyway, when I came in last time, these things were there. Tsunade looked at Shiraishi innocently, pursed his lips, and said helplessly. Shiraishi was overjoyed instantly. In other words, he thought about it before. His hollow space was not taken away by the clones. It is a new independent space. Tsunade, this is the pupil art space of Uchiha letter. What the hell are you doing? Seeing Shiraishi's excited face, Tsunade asked curiously. Look at this space. Is it linked to my space? At present, it seems that there are two spaces. Tsunade, your space may also be an independent space. However, it is not ruled out that it is linked with the pupil technique space of those clones. If you link, we will open up the communication channels of the three worlds. If it is independent, this is your personal storage space. Let's go out. Shiraishi confessed without hiding anything. The two spaces are not connected, so it is impossible for Tsunade with the same pupil technique not to notice. Being able to get an independent space has made Shiraishi very contented. Tsunade's small face was tangled for a while. The pupil technique was activated and Shiraishi appeared on the snake's head. Shiraishi, my mother wants an independent space. I also want to link with them in time and space to facilitate information exchange. Am I being too greedy? Tsunade wrinkled his nose with a bitter face and said in an annoyed voice. The girlish coquettishness is inadvertently exuded. From Shiraishi's point of view, the coquettish Tsunade in the afterglow of the setting sun made him a little bit uncontrollable. Following his heart, Shiraishi naturally put his hands on Tsunade's head. Well, my hands are still a little sloppy. Shiraishi's face jingled like a bell. Posted it up, caught off guard, Tsunade was not a little bit guarded against theft. The two had a negative distance contact in an instant. How dare he? If you want to die, why are you so impulsive? The two looked at each other, At the same time, their brains were confused. 300E. After a long pause, Tsunade reacted and opened Shiraishi. She shouted shyly and angrily, punching Shiraishi with a punch. Between lightning and flint, Shiraishi threw out the flying thunder god kunai with one hand, and the figure suddenly disappeared. At the same time, Shiraishi's figure appeared beside Tsunade. If you have something to say, don't move. Who made you two beautiful? Let me be confused for a while. At that moment, I bet my life. Tsunade, I like you. Shiraishi looked at the furious Tsunade and sent sweet words plus confessions one after another. You? The furious Tsunade blushed, and the scarlet Sharingan stared at Shiraishi, speechless for a moment. She was born in the ninja world and has not yet opened her heart. When did she hear such a confession? In the calm and unwavering heart, suddenly there was a wave of turmoil. Bet your life? Then why are you hiding? I'll give you a chance to leave your last words. After a 2-second pause, Tsunade held her small fist to suppress her emotions and said proudly. Shiraishi's tense nerves finally let go. If you don't do it directly, it will prove to be effective. Sure enough, no woman could refuse a confession that risked her life. I'm not hiding because I'm afraid of death. I just want to save my love. Since the first time I saw you, the stars are all about you. With you like this, how can I have the heart to let you lose? I want to risk my life to give you the best future, as long as you give me a chance. Believe me, our future will be wonderful now. Up to you. This time, I will not hide or evade. Shiraishi burst out all his brain cells, showing his true feelings. Well, it's a trick. Death is impossible to die. A Tsunade, no way. Tsunade looked at Shiraishi with a serious look and raised his fist a little too hard. Such a confession. She really has no experience. You glib little pervert. Just when Shiraishi thought he had stabilized, Tsunade suddenly let out a soft cry. The little fist hits Shiraishi's chest. Shiraishi's pupils shrank, resisting the urge to run away. Don't be cowardly at this time, and never give up until the last moment. It's late, it's fast. Tsunade's fist, clinging to Shiraishi's clothes, came to a sudden stop. Chapter 97, The Covenant of Tsunade. Old Danzo's distinguished heavenly gods damn. You scared me to death. In the next instant, Laozi is about to burst into nine tails. Shiraishi yelled inwardly as he stared at Tsunade intently. Are you serious? Tsunade looked at Shiraishi with fiery eyes, bit his eyebrows and eyes with red lips, and hummed coquettishly. Certainly, if you don't even have the courage to be beaten to death by you, what are you talking about? Even if you beat me to death, I will also tell you with actions. My existence will be imprinted in your life, even if it's just a memory that you occasionally find in the future. Shiraishi corrected his attitude immediately and continued to shout sincerely. Damn, after Laozi succeeds, I have to attack her for a month. Otherwise, I'm sorry for this brain-racking, earthy love story. Tsunade doesn't know Shiraishi's dirty mind. Hearing the sound, her delicate body trembles. Her eyes are complicated. Faced with this kind of confession, she really couldn't help it. But accepting Shiraishi directly is a bit overthinking. It cannot be denied that Shiraishi's behavior had a different color in Tsunade's mind. Touched the girl's heart, but not to the point of accepting Shiraishi. In particular, Shiraishi's age. I will not accept a lover who is younger than me. Again, Shiraishi. Isn't Mikoto already with you? You greedy little pervert. Tsunade gritted his silver teeth. His face was reddish, and he closed his fists and said coquettishly, Age? When can age be the limit of love? As the saying goes, age is not a problem, height is not a distance. Don't look at my physical age, but my mental age is older than you. Even with physical age, I can grow up to be the same age as you quickly. And also, what has Mikoto been with me? Yes, she confessed me last time, but I didn't agree. Shiraishi felt relieved and shamelessly argued. When Tsunade's little fist drops, she's shaken. If there is shaking, there will be gaps, and if there are gaps, there will be gaps. This wave is stable. No agreement? Didn't you take her to the woods? Come back to Mikoto like that. Why doesn't it look like you've been rejected? Tsunade questioned, ignoring Shiraishi's mental age tricks. Shiraishi looked at the curious Tsunade from 8 trigrams and secretly thought that he had a foresight. Still, go to the grove. It's a bit of a joke. Think about it carefully. What was the situation at the beginning? I took Mikoto away from you because of Mikoto's girlishness. I turned her down after that. In order to save her from being sad, I promised to be her good friend. I will protect her existence in the name of my companions. That's why Mikoto wasn't so lost. Shiraishi talked nonsense with his eyes open, disturbing Tsunade's thoughts. Tsunade was taken aback when he heard the words, and he couldn't help thinking about the situation at that time. Seeing Tsunade's eyes dimmed, a strange color flashed in Shiraishi's eyes. With a movement of his feet, he took 2 steps forward and came to Tsunade. Under Tsunade's 3 points of bewilderment, 3 points of shame, 3 points of disbelief, and 1 point of inexplicable expectation, Shiraishi once again. After 2 breaths, Tsunade reacted abruptly. Manjiki's pupils trembled. A skeletal arm of blue chakra burst out instantly. Shiraishi, who had been prepared for a long time, activated Flying Thunder God immediately and came behind Tsunade. Don't you hide? Tsunade turned and stared at Shiraishi with his heart pounding and shouted indignantly. Before I didn't hide, it was to let you know that I love you. Now I run away to let you know you love me. Tsunade, you don't want to kill me now. Feel your heartbeat. You are already beating. Don't deny your heart. Shiraishi licked his lips, brazenly sophistrying. KR. Tsunade was about to retort, but he didn't know what to say when the words came to his lips. Now, she really has no intention of killing Shiraishi. Is she really attracted to Shiraishi? Tsunade, if you don't care about age, then I will go find you when you're 12 years old. At that time, we were about the same age. You said, such an excellent me. Would you be moved by that time? Shiraishi looked at Tsunade with an uncertain face and teased again. Tsunade's beautiful eyes popped out, and she looked at Shiraishi in disbelief. She never expected that Shiraishi, the 6th son, would have such a showy operation. Let her fall in love with Shiraishi in the past and affect her present self. You rascal. An exasperated Tsunade pointed at Shiraishi, pursing his lips angrily. Maybe even Tsunade didn't notice. She has already inadvertently revealed a coquettish gesture like a little girl. A rogue is a rogue. I won't let go anyway. Tsunade, I really like you. The age and appearance you worry about are actually not a problem. 100 healings mark ninja art. Mitotic regeneration can make me grow up fast. Since I am young, I will use your ninjutsu to shorten the age between us. That's it. Shiraishi's words made Tsunade's pupils shrink for a while, and his pretty face was dull. 100 healings mark ninja art, mitotic regeneration, but it is a forbidden technique that actually consumes one's own cells in exchange for a quick cure. There's no problem in using this to speed up body growth. Correspondingly, this consumes a large number of cells. Every 1 cell division has a number of times. That is, it is consuming the life area. No matter what else, it is just to chase myself and lose 10 years of life. This made Tsunade a little moved and shocked. Glib guy, I will honor the last transaction. Teach you 100 healings mark by how technique ninja art, mitotic regeneration. Wait until you really turn into the 22-year-old Yamashiro Shiraishi. Let's talk about this. Tsunade, who was in a complicated mood, turned and looked ahead and said proudly with his back to Shiraishi. This kind of Shiraishi makes Tsunade's heart a little overwhelmed. Okay, it's a deal. Shiraishi accepted it as soon as he saw it and smiled brightly when he saw Tsunade's graceful figure of penultimate. This progress has exceeded Shiraishi's expectations. Next time, it's time to hit Tsunade, country of wind, a small town. Take the route and find out the location of One Tail. Jinchuriki? Danzo leaned on a cane with one hand and said with pain on his face as if his father had died. Master Danzo, the location of One Tail Jinchuriki has been determined. The wind leads people to monitor there. Aburame knelt down on one knee and said expressionlessly, set off. There was a trace of excitement in Danzo's eyes, and Manjiki's red glow under the bandage flickered, pretending to be calm. Since being hunted down by 5th-generation Tsunade and Jiraiya, Danzo fled in embarrassment several times. In the end, the target was placed on the weaker country of the wind, Sunagakure. According to intelligence, 4th Kazekage Luo Sha has been killed. Sand Shinobi is now leaderless. A successor to 5th Kazekage has been delayed. Inside Sand Shinobi panic, Danzo, who doesn't talk too much, sees the opportunity and plans to use distinguished heavenly gods to control One-Tail Jinchuriki. Form an elite squad of Sand Shinobi with One-Tail Jinchuriki as the core, waiting for an opportunity to assassinate 5th Hokage and launch the Konoha coup. After dumping Sand Shinobi, Danzo saves Konoha, successor to 6th Hokage. With the support of Konoha's intelligence and Root's confidence, this plan is perfect. Next day, in a desert full of yellow sand, a big snake swims quickly in the sand waves. Suddenly, the big snake turned into white smoke and disappeared with a bang. The desert is still too hot. This environment is not suitable for snakes to walk close to the ground for a long time. Shiraishi sighed helplessly as he watched the 3rd snake disappear, saying that Shiraishi bit his finger. It is necessary to summon a big snake to come out as a mount again. Shiraishi, look over there. Tsunade's eyes froze suddenly, and Mangekyou Sharingan appeared in his eyes, pointing to a direction reminded. When Shiraishi heard this, he immediately turned his head to look. His pupils shrank suddenly. As far as the eye can see, the overwhelming yellow sand rushes towards it. 3 figures fled quickly under the huge waves of yellow sand, and one of them is the Danzo that Shiraishi and the others are looking for. It takes no effort at all. The old boy ran out by himself. Shiraishi yelled in surprise, pulling chakra up from Tsunade's feet. Jumped to the sandstone not far away to temporarily avoid the sand wave attack. That's Gaara. How did Danzo fight him? Coming to the sandstone, Shiraishi wondered when he saw Gaara above the sand waves. Gaara? Isn't this the 5th Kazekage kid? Tsunade also saw Gaara, thinking about the situation in the previous battle with Momoji. Well, that's him. Earth-style fighting blade, Shiraishi made madras with both hands and whispered while explaining. Fighting blade stick. It is a B-level Earth style that can change the terrain and control the stone pillar to attack. The moment the ninjutsu was activated, the sandstone under Shiraishi's feet suddenly exploded. A series of sandstones formed sharp rock pillars, which directly changed the shape of the sandstone. The side facing the Danzo becomes a raised mace shape. Shiraishi's eyes sharpened, and several rock pillars stretched and pierced like a gust of wind. What? They're still enemies. Danzo exclaimed when he saw the galloping rock pillar and hurriedly dodged to avoid it. He never expected that Hyo Jinchuriki is so powerful in the desert. Make them so embarrassed for Baron's technique. Kaze Yamanaka sees Shiraishi in the distance, and attacks while dodging. An invisible mental attack instantly came to Shiraishi's brain. However, it doesn't work. Shiraishi, who is immune to psychic attacks, is not affected at all. How is this possible? It was the first time Yamanaka Feng saw such a situation, and he was stunned for a moment and exclaimed. At such a moment, Sha Lang, who was following him, quickly stretched out a hand of sand, grabbed him, and dragged him into the sand waves. As a shrill cry came from the sand waves, this Danzo's confidant received the lunch in an instant. Danzo and Aburame took root and immediately dodged to escape the attack of sand with the help of Shiraishi's extended rock pillar. Ninja Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Shiraishi saw this fixed gaze, stretched out his hand, and threw out a Kaneji seal and shouted. In an instant, dense Kuwuyu shot at the two of them like a storm. Danzo sneered at this and rushed forward to face the attack. Just now, he has activated the Izanagi Factory. Aburame's rooted body instantly turned into a parasite and flew away, avoiding the attack. Tsunade? No, Mangekyou Sharingan. They have a Mangekyou Sharingan. Danzo, who rushed to the close range, suddenly changed his expression, staring at the two and exclaiming. But then there is great joy. It is also a good target if you directly control Tsunade. Immediately, Danzo and the bandage under the right eye. Scarlet Shursui, Mangeki launched at Tsunade, distinguished heavenly gods. Chapter 98 Shiraishi. Tsunade, I will take charge/V. Shiraishi knows everything about Danzo. Seeing Danzo's movement, he turned around and came in front of Tsunade. Hold Tsunade to protect her behind. At the same time, Shiraishi felt the will to serve Danzo emerging from the back of his brain. But this will only just emerged, and it was quickly wiped out. Danzo frowned slightly when he saw this. Unexpectedly, it was intercepted. Still, thinking of each other is also a Mangeki Sharingan genius. It's not a disadvantage. Chakra broke out under Danzo's feet, and the body flicker technique was launched. Quick, use your Mangeki to control one tail, Jinchuriki. Danzo stepped in front of Shiraishi and gave an order without hesitation. 4 distinguished heavenly gods, Danzo is confident. Not even the Mangeki Sharingan can break free from this illusion. Danzo, you disgusting BD, we are not your subordinates. Tsunade broke away from Shiraishi with a reddish face, punched Danzo, and shouted angrily. Phosphorus Bug, Aburame, who followed Danzo, immediately came to Tsunade to resist. But Tsunade has entered Kage level at this time. Chakra and physique have improved a lot through Mangeki. How can Aburame take the roots to resist the full-strength, strange power punch? After a face-to-face meeting, Aburame was blown away with a punch when he took the root. Seizing the opportunity, Gaara made a move with one hand, and countless sands wrapped around Aburame's body. Aburame took the root and immediately turned into a bug to dodge and start a fight with Gaara at this time. Tsunade was about to continue attacking Danzo. Suddenly, her delicate body paused, and she looked at her fist with an ugly expression. I saw the white and tender fist that was in contact with Aburame's root just now, but it was already pitch black at this time, and quickly spread to her body through the arms. Great work on rooting. This is his nanopoison. Once touched, it will be poisoned, and the poisonous insects will quickly flow into the opponent's cells and destroy them. Even if you're a medical master, it is impossible for 673 to disperse these nano-poisonous insects. Tsunade, you're dead. I accept this pair of Mangeki Sharingan. Danzo was as steady as an old dog in an instant, exposing the posture of a winner, and said indifferently. Saying that, spread his fingers apart, aimed at Tsunade's eyes, and looked over. Tsunade moved his feet, and his figure immediately retreated a few meters away. Shiraishi, stop him. I have a way to dispel these poisonous insects. Tsunade yells at Shiraishi, ready to activate Sage Mode. As long as it is a bug, it is a living organism. No creature can escape the erosion of the magic chakra. When the fairy art bursts out, these bugs will be swallowed up instantly and die. Something that surprised Tsunade happened. Shiraishi didn't move at all. Shiraishi, what's wrong with you? Seeing the unmoved Shiraishi, Tsunade asked hastily. Of course he is under my control. My right eye has the power to change the mind and will. I originally wanted to control you, but I didn't expect to be interrupted by him. Tsunade, I'm curious what happened to your Mangeki. Danzo thought he had the chance to win, and explained without concealment. It perfectly interprets the truth that the villain dies because of talking too much. Shiraishi, Tsunade's pupils shrank. Her pretty face was dull, and she looked at Shiraishi with trembling eyes. She really doesn't know the information about Shursui's right eye. Looking at Shiraishi's dull face, Tsunade suddenly felt his heart tighten, as if being pinched hard. A feeling that has never been felt in the bottom of my heart. Tsunade has never experienced that indescribable inner emptiness. Obviously clearly before, I confessed to her swearingly. But in a blink of an eye, he became someone else's puppet. This kind of thing, how could she accept such a thing? Thinking of Shiraishi standing in front of her desperately just now. Recalling the previous scenes, Tsunade finally saw his heart. Although it is not unforgettable, Shiraishi is indeed the first opposite SX to walk into her heart. Shiraishi, wake up. I promise your confession. Wake me up soon. Quick, quick, wake me up. Tsunade cried out with tears in his eyes. His voice was so hoarse that there was no half arrogance in it. I see. I said, why did you become like this age group? Tsunade, your luck seems to be as bad as ever. Danzo said suddenly, and looked at Shiraishi, who was motionless out of the corner of his eye. His order Shiraishi didn't carry out, but didn't attack him either. Is it Mangeki's pupil power resistance? Mangeki controls Mangeki. Although Danzo is confident, this is the first time he has done it. Immediately, Danzo rushed towards Tsunade. To avoid extra problems, it's better to kill Tsunade first. Fight! Tsunade, who was fighting against the poisonous insect, stared at him. The scarlet Mangeki stared at Danzo, and Hollow's pupil technique was ready to go. Throwing Danzo into the pupil space is also a good attack method, but to seize the opportunity, there is only one chance. At the critical moment when the two of them were tense, a black figure suddenly appeared behind Danzo. The sharp grass pheasant soared hands up and down, the way of a sword. Ow, how is it possible? Danzo looked at the spinning world, terrified and shocked. His Izanagi time has come long ago, and now this is his real body. Suddenly, Danzo felt a pain in his eye socket. The right eye was snapped out. At the moment when consciousness was on the verge of fading, Danzo saw Shiraishi's smug smile. What's going on? Shiraishi, are you not under his control? Looking at the sudden change, Tsunade asked Shiraishi with a dazed face and mixed surprises. Of course, this guy has a lot of backhands, so I can only take the opportunity to kill with one hit. Tsunade got you worried, but I will be responsible. I am very satisfied with your answer just now. You will be my girlfriend from now on. Shiraishi put the eye of sure sway into the bottle deftly and said with a smile, just now, in order to prevent Danzo, an old BD, from playing Li Xixiang's seal. So Shiraishi does what he can and pretends to be attacked by the distinguished heavenly gods. Then when Danzo was proud, he used pupil technique to control the flying thunder god blade to cling to Danzo's back. Just after Izanagi's lapse expires, launch flying thunder god slash. Finally, he easily stole the tower. The so-called ninja, it is to make rational use of intelligence and kill the enemy at the lowest cost. Moreover, because of the existence of the Eye of Sure Sway, the steady CBBJ, Shiraishi will naturally not fight Danzo recklessly. Girlfriend, I don't want it. You liar. You're obviously not under his control. What you just said doesn't count. Tsunade was a little uncomfortable seeing Shiraishi's eyes, turned his head and said arrogantly. However, the corners of the pretty face's mouth curled up slightly. The void in my heart is filled in an instant. Hey, let's get rid of the poisonous insects quickly. I'm here to protect you. Shiraishi chuckled and teased, staring at the black arm. He is not an inexperienced chick, so he naturally knows Tsunade's duplicity the silent speaks. Yeah, it's all your fault, Tsunade reacted suddenly, and began to condense natural energy with a coquettish sound. But the pounding heartstrings prevented her from absorbing the natural energy zone quietly for a long time. Seeing this, Shiraishi understood what Tsunade was up to. With a thought, the immortal curse seal is opened, dodged and grabbed Tsunade's arm. Under the blessing of Mangeki Sharingan and immortal perception, manipulate the magic chakra to wipe out poisonous insects. Tsunade looked at the side face of Shiraishi, who was close at hand, and his thoughts were racing sandstorm funeral. Gaara finally found a chance and solved Aburame's rooting with one move. Then, Gaara looked at Shiraishi and Tsunade out of breath. But he doesn't have a Sharingan or a white eye, so he can clearly see who the other party is. As soon as Gaara's footsteps moved, she was about to strike up a conversation. Continuous battle exhaustion and huge consumption of chakra. It made Gaara's eyes blur, and she couldn't hold on anymore and fainted. There was a surge of sand beside him, and the unconscious Kankuro and Temari appeared beside Gaara. The previous battle was not as easy as imagined. After all, the opponent is Danzo. Shiraishi, next I will use healing jutsu. You go and see what's going on. Tsunade saw Gaara fell to the ground from a distance and urged. Shiraishi of Sage Mode naturally sensed the situation of the three of them, nodded, and came to the three brothers and sisters of Gaara. Sister Temari is also there. Seeing Temari fainted, Shiraishi muttered in surprise. Do you want to kidnap Temari girl to go to World War II? Shiraishi looked at the exquisite Temari and felt a little moved. But Temari is a sand shinobi ninja after all. It is a bit risky to bring it back. Suddenly, Shiraishi thought of the eye of water he just got. Instant decision. Of the wildflowers, he collected them. The Mangeki pupil technique was activated, and Temari was sent into the hollow space by Shiraishi. Immediately, Shiraishi threw Gaara and Kankuro beside Danzo's body. They're fine, it's just that chakra's been consumed and passed out. Tsunade, your identity is sensitive. Let's not touch them. I sent them to a nearby town with a big snake. Shiraishi pretended to be plain and performed the summoning technique with his hands in Madra. Also, after all, he is an ally of Konoha. Tsunade didn't think much and nodded in agreement without looking up. Bang! A large snake rose up under Gaara and Kankuro. Under Shiraishi's order, the two were sent to the nearest small town. Fire-style Great Fireball technique. Shiraishi made Madras with both hands and opened his mouth to shout at Danzo's corpse. It is directly a funeral. Fire Nation Frontier, two figures dressed in red clouds and black robes and bamboo hats walked unhurriedly along the path in the forest. Suddenly, Uchiha Itachi's footsteps stopped. Scarlet 3 Tomo Sharingan stares at the dense forest beside him. Mr. Itachi, are there any enemies? Kisame saw Uchiha Itachi's movement, looked in that direction, and said cautiously. Uchiha Itachi didn't speak, but stared at the depths of the woods. Whizzing. Immediately there were two piercing sounds. Two figures, one big and one small, appeared in front of them. Finally I find you, Uchiha. Ferret. Young Sasuke looked at the face engraved in his heart, suppressing his emotions, and said hoarsely, He is so hot. Seeing the indifferent expression, Sarana turned on Uchiha Itachi of 3 Tomo Sharingan. He put his hands under his chin and exclaimed excitedly with glowing eyes. That appearance is almost like a nympho. Uchiha's Sharingan? Mr. Itachi, didn't you say there would be no Uchiha other than your brother? Kisame asked curiously when he saw the Sharingan in their pupils. Uchiha Itachi's facial expression changed, and his eyes fixed on the youth Sasuke. Senior Brokon's Uchiha Itachi immediately recognized his younger brother Uchiha Sasuke. However, how is this possible? Tsukuyami, the youth Sasuke's eyes changed, and the sun-hooked jade turned into an eternal Mangeki. Chapter 99 Tears, Itachi and young Sasuke father and daughter. This is Mr. Itachi's pupil technique. With a flash in front of Kisame's eyes, consciousness appeared in an illusion space. Suddenly exclaimed, the fear of Tsukuyami dominated by Itachi rises in Onisame's heart. At the time when Gixier's mind was terrified all day long. Another fantasy space you were Sasuke. Itachi looked at the pair of eternal Mangeki Sharingan and said firmly. In those eyes, Itachi felt the pupil power of his own Mangeki. Although the reason is not clear, all clues point to this possibility. Nissan, long time no see. Only then did the youth Sasuke take off his disguise with a complicated expression and mixed feelings. There's a gleam of crystal in the corner of the eye, but it is only limited to this. He had been looking forward to this meeting for a long time, and it was not a sudden surprise. Looking at the figure who turned 1,000 times and woke up in a dream. Scenes of hope flashed in the mind of young Sasuke. Itachi heard the address of the youth Sasuke. The scarlet pupils shrank, and the camouflage-paralyzed face was finally removed. In the eyes of young Sasuke, Itachi didn't see hatred and darkness. And that pair of eternal Mangeki Sharingan has proved his future very well. That's enough. Seeing Sasuke like this, everything he has paid is worth it. Sasuke, after all, became what he dreamed of. Sasuke, you've grown. Itachi looked at the moist eye sockets of young Sasuke, and his heart turned into a sigh. Have you figured it out yet? The sense of smell is still so keen, is it really worth doing that? The young man Sasuke finally couldn't control the emotions in his heart when he heard this sentence and asked in a slightly crying voice. You can say that being a big brother is very gratifying. Now haven't you already stated everything? If you can come to see me, it proves my value as an elder brother. Sasuke, let's go back. Don't interfere with the past easily. That is the power of taboo. My future is to be your light. Forgive me. Sasuke Itachi raised a rare smile, stretched out his hand to touch the forehead of young Sasuke, and said with a relaxed expression. At this moment, Itachi saw the value of his persistence. It is also more determined on its own path. Youth Sasuke feels the familiar touch on his forehead and Itachi's awakening. The tears in my eyes can't hold back anymore. 2 lines of hot tears flowed from the corner of the eyes, dripping down. That action, Dad crying. Zwa, Liangna, who was brought into the illusion space together, looked at the two with horrified eyes and exclaimed in her heart. Zwa, Liangna, finally knows the meaning of Father Sasuke's action. That is, the delivery of love. Sasuke, don't do this. You should know everything by now. That ending is already doomed to me. Don't be sad. Your measure has already exceeded my expectations. I am proud of you. Thank you for letting me go to see my parents with peace of mind. Itachi looked at his younger brother, who was crying like a child. His eyes were touched and encouraged, and he thanked him. Now, Itachi, already in the youth Sasuke, knows everything. Otherwise, he is the elder brother who is going to bear all the crimes with lies. How can you make my brother so sad? Uncle, hello. I'm Uchiha Sarena. Zuliana looked at Sasuke, a young man who was out of control, and voluntarily bowed and shouted sweetly. Just divert your attention and believe that the calm and powerful father will come back again. Big uncle, Uchiha Sarena. Itachi, who still had some feelings, changed his expression slightly, and then he noticed the girl. This is the uncle? This child is the daughter of stupid Odudu. In an instant, Itachi's mind was in trance. The appearance of the boy Sasuke and Zhuoliangna kept circling in his mind, comparing and merging. Well, the younger brother Sasuke is cuter. However, because the niece is also good. Cough, cough. Nissan, this is my daughter, 12 years old this year. The youth Sasuke was also awakened, and only then remembered that he had lost his composure in front of his precious daughter. He hurriedly coughed to make up for it. Go out later. Uncle will give you a gift. Itachi raised the corner of his mouth and said with a kind smile on his face. Just now he saw one Tomo Sharingan in Zhuoliangna's pupils. It's the first time meeting him as an uncle, so he should show something. Gift, Zhuoliangna said in a nervous and excited mood. I don't know what gift this legendary uncle is going to give her. Sasuke, get out. Knowing too much can affect the future. Itachi took a deep look at the father and daughter and said resolutely, Nissan, actually, you don't have to worry about this. This world has become an independent world. You don't affect us. This time, Zhuoliangna will stay in Konoha and become Konoha Genin to perform tasks. We'll not go back to our side for a while. Youth Sasuke said seriously after quickly adjusting his mood. About leaking future information to Itachi, Youth Sasuke is not worried about anything. Their goals are the same. Independent world? Stay here. Itachi's breathing stagnated, and he exclaimed in disbelief. The meaning here is too great. No, you have to go back. Even if it doesn't affect each other, I can't let you interfere now. Suddenly, Itachi thought of his younger brother Sasuke in this world, and flatly refused. This has already affected, not to mention other things, just talk about me when I was a teenager. Has changed. He has now activated the Manjiki Sharingan, and he has let go of his hatred. Will not come to you again. From now on, I should live as a Konoha shinobi. The young man Sasuke's words were like a bolt from the blue, shocking Itachi and Sarena at the same time. 13-year-old Sasuke has opened Manjiki Sharingan. Itachi is surprised at this time. He didn't expect that Sasuke, who had been whipped by him before, was the double hook jade. In just 1 month, it became the existence of Manjiki Sharingan. His persistence finally saw the light of day. But why did Sasuke let go of his hatred? This is embarrassing. Could it be that he took the initiative to go up and deliver the head? Nissan, things in the future are far beyond your imagination. Youth Sasuke said seriously. The surrounding picture suddenly changed. This is Uncle and Dad. Looking at the transformed scene, Zhuliangna covered her small mouth and exclaimed, "The same goes for ferrets." But seeing that the location is Uchiha's ancestral home, Itachi understood something. Soon, the brotherly battle in the memory of youth Sasuke begins. Just when Zhuliangna was about to watch the battle with great interest, the youth Sasuke glanced at her. Zhuliangna's consciousness was in chaos, and she fell into confusion. The next cruel fact, youth Sasuke does not intend to throw Zhuliangna no. After juvenile Sasuke's eye-opening, youth Sasuke has seen a way to open eyes without killing. So, Zhuliangna knows this now, which is not conducive to opening Manjiki in the future. Itachi didn't stop the young man Sasuke from looking at the illusioned future. When he saw Orochimaru, the seal of Sasuke, he finally fell in front of Sasuke. Itachi frowned slightly. Everything is according to his plan. Why would Sasuke know the truth? Immediately afterwards, the masked man Obito appeared. Then I will talk about Sasuke's psychological changes and his actions after opening Manjiki. The youth Sasuke didn't hide anything and directly presented his past to Itachi. Akatsuki's conspiracy, Nagato, Obito, Madara, Black Zetsu, Kagaya, and in the fourth battle, Luo Shiyu's last 100 against Sasuke, the youth Sasuke let Itachi know everything about Shippuden in every detail, asking for flowers. Just the news about the Tsutsuki clan, young man Sasuke didn't mention it. He didn't let Itachi do what he did. I just hope he doesn't make a fearless sacrifice. The future of the ninja world is like this. Sasuke, you've done a good job. Itachi let out a sigh and said solemnly, a lot of things have changed in this world. Konoha, Orochimaru, Sasuke, so this may cause other changes in Akatsuki in the future. Nissen, I need you to collect information in Shaoban Konoha. In case of other accidents, I will inform Tsunade of 5th generation about this matter. After the war, I will take you and Zhuliangna home together. Young Sasuke knew Itachi's nature well, so he gave Itachi a new goal. Go home. Itachi looked into Sasuke's eyes and thought of fond childhood memories. I see. With a long cry, Itachi nodded slowly. The youth Sasuke didn't say much, and Tsukuyami left the illusion space. Outside world, the consciousness of young Sasuke, Zhuliangna, and Itachi returned simultaneously. Only Kisame is still among Tsukuyami. Drink it. Youth Sasuke took out a small medicine bottle, threw it to Itachi, and shouted, "This is a nutrient solution containing Hashirama cells. If it is an ordinary person, it will definitely not be able to bear it, but experimented with transplanted by Tsunade Manjiki. Ant Snake is convinced that a small amount of Hashirama cells has a significant effect on Uchiha Manjiki owners. Of course, this is Hashirama cells after a few generations." Itachi took the bottle without any hesitation, just blowing on it. With the entrance of the nutrient solution, a small amount of Hashirama cells immediately play a role in the body. Itachi's overdrawn body and pupil strength began to recover quickly. With just a few breaths, Itachi's body was supplemented and basically returned to normal physique. The consumed pupil power has also recovered a lot, and the blurred vision has improved significantly. What is this? Feeling the changes in front of him, Itachi couldn't help asking in surprise. What Manjiki is most afraid of is that his pupil power will be exhausted and his eyes will become blind. This is also the unsolvable path for Manjiki to pursue the eternal eye. Unexpectedly, there will be a way to restore Manjiki's pupil power in the future. In this way, Uchiha can reduce a lot of human tragedies. It seems to be working. There are only 2 bottles, and this is also for you. The youth Sasuke didn't explain, but threw out another bottle vaguely. Itachi also realized something after taking it, and didn't continue to ask. Instead, he looked at Zhuliangna. Eyes Manjiki windmills turn, blood and tears flow. The next moment, Sarana was pulled into Itachi's Tsukuyami space. At the same time, we transfer seal Amaterasu, also inscribed in Zorana's Sharingan. With just one breath, Zwolyangna regained consciousness. Thank you, uncle, for the gift. Sarana bowed and thanked Itachi respectfully. Just now, in its Tsukuyami space, Itachi brought out his signature ninjutsu. The crow clone was passed on to Zwolyangna. In addition, there are some tricks of illusion. As long as Zwolyangna is proficient in these, the survival rate in the ninja world will be greatly improved. Young Sasuke looked at the two of them, but didn't ask any questions. He nodded to Itachi, turned around, and left with Zorana. Go home. I am not worthy of such an existence. Going to accompany my parents is my future. Zorana, if Sasuke doesn't come, then my eyes will be a real gift for you. But before that, can't go on like this. Itachi looked at the backs of the two of them, and there was a strange flash in his eyes. Eyes 3 Tomo Sharingan turned, and a crow appeared on Itachi's shoulder. The eye of Sure Sway targets Kisame, distinguished heavenly gods. For the sake of confidentiality and subsequent actions, this is the only way. Looking at the nutrition bottle in his hand, Itachi threw it directly to the crow. This way, the distinguished heavenly gods should be able to quickly recover. Inches. Chapter 100 Distinguished Heavenly Gods White Snake. Made Temari Online Pamphlet Street, Shiraishi looked at Tsunade, who was spending money like water on the gambling table. His face was covered with black lines, and the corners of his eyes couldn't help twitching. At this prodigal speed, the daimyo can't stand it. He never dreamed that he came here fine. When I went back, I happened to pass by this gambling town known as the Kingdom of Fire. Fortunately, Tsunade doesn't have much money on him, so he will lose it quickly, worthy of the name of the big, fat sheep. Let's go back to the village. Tsunade looked at the gaming table reluctantly, then turned to Shiraishi and said to Shiraishi, looking at the satisfied attitude on that face, it seems that she has won money. Tsunade, my mom wants you to do me a favor. Shiraishi took Tsunade to an empty corner and whispered, help is fine, but you need to pay more. Tsunade's beautiful eyes lit up, and he stretched out his hand and smiled slyly in a cross-border gesture. Previously, 5th generation Tsunade gave Shiraishi all the mission funds. Tsunade was just going to take her share. Shiraishi looked at Tsunade, who looked like a gambler, and was speechless plus funny in astonishment. Can you help me transplant that Mangeki in a snake eye? All the money is for you. Shiraishi whispered his request softly in Tsunade's ear. That distinguished heavenly gods, Shiraishi can't live without. You can transplant your own body and make it look like a pervert, but Shiraishi doesn't accept it either. So, Shiraishi came up with this idea, just in time to keep distinguished heavenly gods 140 concealment. So simple. Okay, I promise. Tsunade nodded and agreed without hesitation. Although it is troublesome to transplant human eyes to White Snake, she is not included. Seeing that Tsunade agreed, Shiraishi immediately took her to find a hotel nearby. Ninja summoning technique. Shiraishi summoned a small white-brown snake in the madra of his hands. Tsunade took out a scroll from the ninja bag, and after unwrapping, it was a row of surgical instruments. As a medical ninja, carrying these is the most basic quality. Tsunade reached out and stroked the snake's head, cutting the snake's nerve cord. Afterwards, it was the solo show of eye transplantation. Anyway, Shiraishi didn't know anything about it, and only looked at the serious Tsunade. Not to mention, seriously, Tsunade tastes like a doctor's temptation. Well, it would be even nicer if I wore a white coat and black-rimmed glasses. Soon, under Tsunade's transplant, the snake's right eye takes on the appearance of Mangeki Sharingan. The transplant was successful. However, this can only serve to protect the eye. If you're going to rely on this snake to cast Mangeki, then don't think about it. Tsunade put away the surgical instruments and explained to Shiraishi. Then, Tsunade's serious face changed. His eyes were bent into a crescent shape. He looked at Shiraishi happily and spread his hands over. Thank you, boss. Please pay the consultation fee. As he said that, he gave Shiraishi a wink of his right eye, showing his playfulness and cuteness. I'm not going. Just take a rest here. Shiraishi sighed, pretending to be helpless, threw out the wallet, and said, "Gee." Tsunade took the wallet and ran out excitedly. This leaves Shiraishi speechless again. Don't you have any guesses about your gambling luck? Shiraishi closed the door, grabbed the little snake, and activated the pupil technique to enter the hollow space. Ordinary little snakes naturally cannot withstand the power of Mangeki. But who made my buddy hang up? Stepping into the hollow space, Shiraishi looked at the limp little snake in his hand and said to himself. While talking, Shiraishi took out a golden-style shredded fruit meat, cut off about a tenth, and stuffed it into Shiraishi's mouth. The sluggish little snake instantly seemed to have taken a complete tonic. In a blink of an eye, it's alive and well. Chakra and traces of blood erupted from the whole body, and Shursui, Mangeki, spun wildly. Under Shiraishi's amazed gaze, the little snake began to shed its skin quickly. And it's not once, but 3 consecutive times of shedding over and over again. A small white-brown snake whose skin turns white every time it molts. After 3 times, the little snake also turned into a white snake. The snake's body also swelled a circle, and it was more than half a meter long, about the thickness of a horizontal bar. Shiraishi's Mangeki aimed at Shursui's eye, and the power of the pupil exploded. In an instant, the mindless eye of Shursui is controlled by Shiraishi. At the same time, Shiraishi also got information from the distinguished heavenly gods. Shursui right, I distinguished heavenly gods. Sure enough, it is a pupil technique that temporarily controls the will and thought. Depending on how much pupil power is consumed, the control time ranges from 1 day to 3 months. This also made Shiraishi understand. Why didn't Danzo control the 3rd generation with the distinguished heavenly gods and directly grasp Konoha? For 3 months, it was impossible for Danzo to control Konoha. It will take at least several years to recover passively once it is fully consumed. This is still under the increase of Hashirama's cells. Sensing that more than half of the distinguished heavenly god's pupil power had recovered, Shiraishi threw out another tenth of the shredded golden fruit. This time the white snake did not shed its skin again after swallowing it, but its body glowed with a glowing white light. After a while, the fluorescence dissipated. The scales on the white snake's body became stronger, and the snake's pupils showed a touch of humanity. Although I can't speak, there is a noticeable change in my attitude towards Shiraishi. He climbed onto Shiraishi's body very affectionately and got into the seal of the immortal. There, the white snake felt the breath of nature, then poked his head out again, appearing on Shiraishi's left shoulder. Is this a home in Curse India? Also, it will be convenient for me to use and operate in the future, Shiraishi whispered after glancing at the white snake. Immediately, Shiraishi looked at the lying Temari. How long are you going to pretend to be asleep? Shiraishi teased Temari, who looked faint. Under Mangeki's powerful insight, Temari's little tricks can't be hidden. Who are you? Konoha Shinobi? We San Shinobi and Konoha are allies. Seeing that he was seen through, Temari stopped pretending to be asleep, opened his eyes, and said sharply. Shiraishi looked at Temari with a slight smile on his lips with a thought. Blood and tears flowed from the right eye of the white snake on the shoulder. Distinguished heavenly god's pupil art activated. The vigilant Temari's pupils shrank. Shursui, Mangeki's pattern reflected in his eyes. Deep in the brain, allegiance to Shiraishi's thought will soon overwhelm Temari's own will. It's just a short breath. Temari lost his guard when he looked at Yuyo's eyes. Master Shiraishi. Temari got down on one knee, lowering Sunagakure Hana's arrogance. Shiraishi looked at half-kneeling Temari, a little dry-mouthed. Although it can only be controlled for 3 months, Shiraishi, who has golden shredded pulp, is not afraid at all. Basically, 1 golden shredded pulp is enough to activate distinguished heavenly gods once. He has more than 30 roots, and he can control Temari for at least several decades. Of course, Shiraishi couldn't possibly waste so many resources on Temari, and his time will only stay for 10 years. Let's control it for a year or 2 first. Shiraishi patted the white snake on his shoulder lightly and the little white snake retreated to the curse-sealed space. Looking at Temari, Shiraishi is not polite at all. It's all like this. Why are you pretending to be a wolf with a big tail? In Earth's final indulgence, Shiraishi has found himself. He is still a layman after all. In this world of mortals, he will always be the boy who sticks to his heart. Half a day later, Shiraishi washed up and left the hotel contentedly to find Tsunade. Tsunade is not allowed to pass by the hotel for the time being. Temari is still there for self-cultivation. With the blessing of the distinguished heavenly gods, Shiraishi let Temari follow behind with confidence. A living person cannot always remain in the hollow space. Shiraishi? Just right. Let's go straight back to the village. As soon as Shiraishi arrived at the casino, he was bumped head-on by Tsunade before he entered the casino. I haven't had time to feel the tenderness that touches it. Tsunade's shout rang in Shiraishi's ear. Shiraishi took a closer look and saw several samurai ronin chasing after him. What happened? You can't afford to lose the game. Shiraishi quickly dodged to Tsunade's side with a strange look in his eyes. Humph, is Miss Ben the kind of person who doesn't gamble? Those guys insisted that I owe money and not pay it back. That's all. That guy must have owed it. It's really a no-brainer, Tsunade said angrily while running. Aren't you the same as her? Konoha Hokage office might guy, Kurenai Yuhi, Asuma, Yamato, Genma. A group of 5 people were summoned here by 5th generation Tsunade. Master Hokage, is there any special mission? Kurenai Yuhi looked at the 4 genin around her, and the first one couldn't help asking. Gathering 5 genin together is at least a $level task. Shizen, 5th generation Tsunade, didn't answer directly, but shouted to Shizen next to him. Under the strange eyes of several people, Shizen took out 5 needles filled with medicine. This potion has a 98% success rate, allowing you to have the power of the seal. It has little erosion on the body and basically has no side effects. Your task is to choose to accept or reject. Don't ask why. It's confidential. 5th generation Tsunade looked at the 5 of them and said in a serious tone, "Curse mark." Several people were shocked when they heard the name. This is the power of Orochimaru's research. But the words of 5th generation Tsunade have blocked the mouths of several people. This is embarrassing. I accept. Yamato, who was born in the root, immediately agreed. His code of conduct is to obey Hokage's orders. Shizun, inject him with the seal of heaven's curse. 5th generation Tsunade didn't talk nonsense and urged Shizun. Yamato didn't wait for Shizun to move and took the initiative to come to Shizun's side to cooperate. Soon, the curse seal of heaven was injected into Yamato's body with a success rate of up to 98%. Yamato naturally has it easy. I saw the 4.2 mantra marks on Yamato's body, both on his face and limbs. It's not the black stripes of tadpoles, but the lines similar to Sage Mode. The upgraded Heaven's Curse seal only has this status. Yamato's chakra and physical fitness doubling 5-fold. Outburst of chakra set off a storm of chakra in the Hokage office. I feel I can easily beat Kakashi now. The curse-sealed Yamato felt this power and couldn't help but speak his heart out. About 10 minutes later, Yamato faded away from the curse mark. It's just a little pale. Chakra consumes most of it, and there are no other negative states. When other people saw this, they were immediately moved. Isn't this equivalent to a blood inheritance limit? Without much hesitation, the remaining 4 also accepted the curse seal, and all passed safely. It's confidential, and there are some things I can't reveal. I can only say that this curse seal will popularize Konoha Genin, especially Genin in the future. You're the first batch, also the experimental team. Next, I will arrange for you to perform important tasks. You should report to me in detail the experience of using the curse seal. 5th generation Tsunade looked at the 5 people with satisfaction and said his plan. The 5 people looked at each other, afraid to see the surprise and shock in their eyes. Giving Konoha Genin popularized this kind of power. What a boldness.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.